I'm going to look and see what exactly how is this going to go down with map vetoes in just a second. And we'll see exactly where we're going to be taken here.
Let's see what we can find. So Black Dragons, they're going to open things out with a consulate ban, and NIP going to respond with a ban of their own onto Oregon.
Yeah, and you know, pretty typical bans there, I would say. We haven't really seen much. I mean, you've got the map stats. You take us through this.
I've got a couple of map stats over here for us. So Black Dragons have played Oregon before and they have won it, but NIP have also played it once. They've won it, but they've also played it and lost it. So maybe something to be read into that. Maybe they're just not so confident on Oregon. We've seen the way that Oregon can play out yesterday with August taking one off Space Station in fine fashion. So we're going to look through and see which are the next bans. We're going to have Bank coming out for Black Dragons and a Villa ban coming out for Ninjas in Pyjamas. So that's going to mean that our picks are going to be Border and Coastline.
Yeah, some pretty typical plays here. I would have thought that Coastline would have been the decider in this matchup, really, honestly. But we'll see how that is going to work out. And as I want to mention before, that I feel like, though, that NIP, they were going into facing Black Dragons. They're not really worried about that matchup because, you know, they've done well against that team before. They know how to play against that team. It is their former org, after all. So they're in the upper bracket, and it's early days still. So maybe they're not willing to bring everything out there. Maybe they're not truly pushing themselves to the full potential that they could be. Black Dragons also really not that worried because they have the lower bracket as well. Both teams are in a pretty safe situation there. That is not the case here.
I think that's one of the advantages of there being two spots available in this region, is that there is a little bit less pressure for that final spot, because there is going to be two of those spots available. So if you do drop down to the lower bracket like Black Dragons have done, and they're able to prove themselves coming up and get into that final spot of the grand finals in the lower bracket, they've got that second chance, which is always a great thing, because sometimes it takes that to kind of wake a team up to go, actually, we lost this. If we lose again, we're going to be out. So I'm sure they're going to be bringing it their all tonight. We are going to be jumping straight in now to Coastline. Let's see what these teams have got in store for us. Coastline, another one of those maps which really sort of weighs heavily in the way that the operator bans go. Yeah,
and that is definitely true. Some people say this is a little bit attack-sided. I would disagree. Recently, it has been pretty even, pretty 50-50. As you said, though, it does very much depend on the operator bans coming through. So we'll see NIP with the first ban there. Is going to be the Yin coming out, and Black Dragons going to be banning out the Glass. So still not seeing any Glass today.
No, Glass is going to be a permanent ban, it should seem. We've not seen Glass neither this evening or yesterday evening. It's just been one of those things that Glass just hasn't really made his way through. But I say what we have seen. We've seen a heck of a lot of Valkyrie banning.
Well, no swearing on the stream, please. As we will see the final ban starting to come through here from NIP. It'll be Valkyrie off the scene. So yeah, that's a pretty common ban on Coastline. You'll see teams like FaZe will heavily abuse the fact that if they have a Valkyrie on Coastline and constantly go for the runouts. NIP are going to ban out the Echo here. So some pretty standard bans coming out. So I would say this is still fairly even, and leaving the Maestro on the board here is a little bit questionable from Black Dragons. But it shouldn't matter too much in the long run because they do have Ashe on the board. They do have the Zofia. Those are the operators you're mainly using to get Maestro cams off the board, and they're pretty effective in doing that.
Yeah, with the Ashe being open there for Iron to jump straight on, he's going to be able to deal with any Evil Eyes that he so wishes. Seeing Kamikaze bringing the Clash isn't something that we've seen work too well this evening. I'd be interested to see where he does play this. He is going to 6-pick out of that onto a castle, which I would suggest is a much safer bet. But I'm also going to switch over onto sort of, I guess it could be seen as maybe Ashe 2.0 Zofia. It's kind of the hybrid of the original operator Ashe. So we're going to see a slight bit of a switch there as well. But the Zofia is surely going to be capable of dealing with any castle barricades that she should need to.
Definitely. I'm really not sure how I feel about that Maestro cam that Psycho just put down in the hallway. It gives good vision, and you know, this is a billiards defense, and typically teams will go to VIP, they'll open the wall from VIP, and they'll cut off the rotate from billiards, and they'll go for an aquarium take. Him putting down that Maestro cam means they're going to know when that starter comes down, and they do have a pulse on the board, a good nitro from below. But my big concern here is that Miro made it through the ban phase, and not only is Miro a great operator for this particular map, Julio is an insanely good mirror. Probably, I don't know, maybe the best mirror in the world. I would say, I got a bit berated for that yesterday. I would say potentially top five mirrors.
You know, it's an operator that you think of Julio, you think of Mirror, you can remember some of the clutch plays that he's had with that operator. So it's really key, and like you say, you don't really ever see a Mirror getting through on Coastline anyway. So to see it getting in with Julio, who's so proficient on the Mirror as well, it really just doesn't seem to make all too much sense to let that through. They're going to have some sort of a plan as to how they're going to deal with that. You see there, GD just going to deploy some X-Karos onto one of the castle barricades. That's why these castle barricades are so great, because they just eat up so much utility. And if you've not got players in or operators in the right location to deal with them, you have to end up using things like X-Karos to deal with them. And it just really, you know, runs down your options when you come in later on into the round.
It definitely does, but we're going to see how it does go down as we move into round number 1's action phase. We're still seeing Nip put down reinforcements at this stage. I really don't enjoy that, but we are going to see GDN slowly start to open up stuff, and he's going to open up the billiards wall already. That is really quick movement coming out.
Yeah, I really like seeing the wall being opened from the skylight like that, or the atrium area in the middle, the courtyard, whatever you want to call it. It just makes it so uncomfortable for the players to be able to play in the site. And we've also seen how powerful that little corner can be to deny the plant with a smoke. You know, you can be able to, you know, really keep the push coming out of Aquarium from there for quite some time. But we're going to see an early pick there. GD just managing to pick up the Pulse. So Pulse is going to, well, Pulse would have probably been providing quite a lot of information on the heartbeat scanner, and of course having a C4 would have been fairly crucial. If the plant does actually come down at this point, he would be able to cause some sort of denial for that. Psycho pretty convinced that someone's out there on Blue Curtain, but not quite managing to find the head of Panico, but he manages to find it there, and he is going to be able to pick up that kill. 4 versus 4, moving into the final minute.
What an insane shot coming out from Psycho, just wide peeking out. He takes down the Thatcher. That's not a massive amount of utility off the board, but it is utility nonetheless. That could affect the push coming through, because Maestro cams are not being dealt with. Billiards window is not open right now. It's not looking good for Black Dragons, but Iblex will find a kill. There we go, Wag is going to go down, but Psycho's still playing around this mirror. He's still shutting down all of this. Oh my god, that was so aggressive from both teams right now. And Psycho is still holding it down where he can. Bug does open up from below. He's going to be able to peek out the mirror window, but oh my god, Psycho through the smoke! He takes off Hugzod, and now it's a 3v2. This is actually looking really good for Nip, because the diffuser's going down. Oh, but Julio with the Nitro, he takes him down. Diffuser does go down regardless. It's now a 2v1. Iblex is below, doing work on the Buck. Julio trying to move up. The Buck is just below. He's just doing work here, and he's going to be able to cover the diffuser going down. Ion is still holding down from Luggage. Julio not in a great position. He's going to try and stick the plant, but he can't find an angle. Iblex is below, and Julio can't deal with him. And oh my god, how does Julio not go down? But there we go, Ion will peek out Luggage. He will go down, and what an insane first round. Oh my god.
Black Dragons did a really good job there of getting the plant down and having a good setup post-plant to be able to deal with that. The mirror was so crucial, and Psycho playing off it, just managing to control that recoil, literally providing that suppressive fire for so long, and finally managing to find a head through the smoke. Very, very impressive play from him, but ultimately it wasn't enough. The plant went down, and Black Dragons were well placed to defend that post-plant, and I think Julio had a pretty tall order there if he was going to look to get 2 kills and get a defuse off.
I think a lot of that really just came down to the fact that the pulse went down very, very early, and Iblex was able to get in below, just open up everything below. This is the real crux of bringing Mirror on Coastline, is that while, yes, it's very effective and it does make a lot of sites very viable, Coastline is one of those maps that you have a huge amount of vertical play available to you, and Mirror really does suffer here from that.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It doesn't really matter where you play the mirror, you're always going to be susceptible to that vertical play, like you say. Buck is a staple pick for any Coastline attack, so it's no surprise that we're seeing him picked again from Iblex. Iblex did some great work. I really enjoyed how when the plant was down, he just started opening up the entire of that billiards room floor and just made it very, very difficult there for Julio to be able to get anything going. But Nip have chosen to go to the same bomb site yet again. I'm not too sure about that decision. I don't think they were too far off. I know we often talk about teams liking to go to a bomb site twice before they kind of, try somewhere else. I just think there's another couple of options really on Coastline that they could be going, maybe down to Blue Bar and Sunrise. If you've got the mirror available, that can sometimes be a better site to defend.
Yeah, definitely. Going to move through into round number 2. We see a fairly similar setup coming out from Ninja's Pyjamas here. A lot of this does come down to if Ninjas can play their pulse better and if they could shut down the Buck immediately coming through, because otherwise they're just going to lose control, they're going to lose map control, and they're going to lose those mirrors very, very quickly, exactly what happened last time.
Yeah, they're going to need to have some sort of a presence downstairs to be able to deal with Iblex, because if he's allowed to operate, and you can see now that he's sat down there droning out Blue Bar, making sure that his coast is clear, if you will, to push on in and do some good work down there. We've also got some support drones coming through from Zafir. Just going to be cooking a grenade now, and that's going to be used to detonate just onto the the floor of billiards, or the ceiling of Blue. Doesn't quite manage it with that one. The throw just manages to hit something else. So he's wasted a little bit of his utility there, but it's caused some decent damage and a little bit of decent disruption. Julio's actually down at this point, and Ion is going to take out the mirror. So Mirror no longer going to be allowed to play on, I believe it was Cool Vibes that Julio was playing the mirror on there, just peeking on into Hooker Deck, as Kamikaze now is going to have to start thinking about rotating back to the site to make sure that he doesn't leave his team short. Psycho is going to pick up a kill in the meantime from Maestro, and he's going to be taking out the Ash there.
Yeah, doing very well indeed with that as we move into a 4v4, but already losing on Mirror and losing Julio off the board so early on. That's pretty devastating. The fact that now we've started to lose map control, but there is still a pulse on the board, and he has still got map control downstairs, but Buck is still doing work in Blue. Pino has not been able to contest this at all. Black Dragons are doing so well on this map so far to just tear them apart. Don't forget, Coastline is their map pick as well, so we're kind of expecting them to be a bit more confident here.
Yeah, Black Dragons, it's just how they're allowing Iblex to operate relatively freely, but at this point, there's only 2 Nitros left on the board now, having, well, only 1 Nitro left on the board now. There would have been 3 at the start of the round with Julio, so Pino was probably really trying to keep hold of his Nitro there to try and deny any sort of a plant, and didn't want to risk his life to challenge in the book. Psycho going to go for a run out there and get punished by a Claymore. Iblex going to pick up a kill of his own. Wag trading one out onto Panico, all now down to Wag in these final few seconds. He's only 1 bullet of health, 1 versus 3. The diffuser is certainly going to start going down very shortly as we're in the final 20 seconds. Wag's got a big job here. He's got the SMG-11 and the shotgun. There's vertical control from Iblex. GDN going to pick up his 3rd kill of the round, and that's going to be all she wrote.
Yeah, Black Dragons take round number 2 in a very similar fashion to how they took the first round, but this time they picked Julio immediately. But again, just making all this setup and utility from Nip completely useless with the fact that they're just getting in below so early on. Nip completely unable to contest that. Maybe I would like to see from them if they go for this defense again, which doesn't look like they're going to do, so following the same pattern that pretty much every other team does take, sorry, as, yeah, they're actually going to go kitchen service entrance, but I would like to see a little bit more vertical play coming out from Nip. They have the ability to open up themselves, and they are going to take the double shotgun here, I assume.
I think you're right in what you say. That I don't believe that trying Billiards and Hooker was the right decision to try it again straight away, because they just lost it so convincingly the first time, and they didn't do anything to adapt or deal with the way that Black Dragons were pushing it. And it was almost the same story. Black Dragons were allowed to push underneath, get an early pick, get some vertical control, and it just makes it so uncomfortable to be on the site there. You can see that Pino is going to invest a little bit of resource upstairs in Theatre and Penthouse. Obviously just trying to hold that area off, because again, the vertical control can be so important. I'm surprised we don't see more book bans on Coastline. I think it'd be a little bit of a off pick, because you'd be opening, you know, you'd either be opening up a Glaz or a Ying, but I think it could really do some good work.
It could do some good work indeed. We'll see round number 3 getting underway, and we'll see exactly how Nip want to take this. They are bringing the dock here, and I like the dock pick here for the bulletproof cam, most importantly, but I feel like you just bring the Maestro here and you can have pretty much the same effect.
I think the Maestro is more important than the dock, but it's all just down to personal preference at the end of the day. Some people really like the MP5, some people not so keen on the Alder. even though it is an absolute beast. And obviously the stim pistols on Doc are going to provide just a little bit of comfort if you do need to revive at range, or just boost your teammate up just a little bit. Pino going to be playing over in VIP, trying to get a bit of an idea as to where this push is going to be coming from. He's going to get a mark on somebody over near hooker deck, so they're going to be pretty sure this is, they're going to try and push through hooker, get control of hooker deck. Could even be people playing on the roof, and the roof is always an area that the attackers do love to play. Psycho going to open things up with an important opening kill there onto iBlacks. Ion going to get one back of his own onto Wag. Ion has taken a lot of damage for his troubles there. Two big kills coming out there. We've lost the Book and we've lost the Smoke. Both very important operators, not the kind of operators you want to be losing so early on. Ion going to get reset there, just getting shot through the wall by GDN so he doesn't get killed. And Ion going to be back up on 50% health.
Yeah, they're doing quite well with themselves to just try and get quick control where they do go through. Round number 3, not looking too good for Nip because they've already lost their smoke, and that's a pretty big pick. Even though Black Dragons have now, they've lost their Book, and that could, you say, it does affect the vertical play. I was just about to say the Dokkaebi could have done a really good job there of opening up vertical play on her home with the SMG-12 and putting out smokes and logic bombs, but that's a massive amount of utilities that have just gone down as he's going to get picked up for free by Psycho, doing very well for his team there. And now it's a 4v3. Black Dragons are kind of scrambling for a better attack here. They're not able to find it just yet.
It looks as though Nip are pretty comfortable on this attack. They're not really peeking too much. They're not overexposing themselves, which isn't something that they need to do at this stage. Like you say, the utility that Black Dragons have got left, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to push through into the site. That Dokkaebi going down has really scuppered the plans at this point because there's going to be no smokes left to kind of get in under the cover of. The mirror windows, however, are going to have some X-Kairos on, but I think there's a nice little mute jammer place there, which is going to make the job just a little bit different. Both those mirrors closed as well, which is always interesting to see. Possibly one going to get open later on if a kill is an option through on. But at the minute, they're just providing a good amount of intel. As Julio's got a good idea as to where the push is coming from. Psycho picking up a kill onto GDN. Julio getting pushed in the site. Ion getting that kill, and Kamikaze trading it straight back out. All now down to Panico as the plant is going down. And I'm not sure that Kamikaze is actually aware of this at this point. So the diffuser has gone down in this situation, and I'm pretty surprised that Panico was let to get it down, but Psycho is not phased one little bit. He's going to find Panico's head, get the defuse. That's going to be the first round for Ninjas in Pyjamas on Coastline.
A pretty good attack coming out from Black Dragons there, but they didn't really achieve their earlier objectives, like to try and get VIP control. That was completely in Nip's favor pretty much the entire round, and maybe wasted mirrors there, although I kind of like that mirror rather than putting mirror on the rotate, because if that gets opened, it doesn't really give anything to the attackers if it gets opened up from above. It can only really give things to defenders.
Do you think that the Black Dragons got a little bit debated there with the bomb site choice?
No, I think they probably figured it was going to go somewhere else. Kitchen service entrance is normally a pretty default one to take. It's either that or billiards. So I don't think it was a bad choice. I don't think there was any kind of like debate or anything going out there just yet. But Black Dragons definitely were struggling to deal with the roam game from Ninjas, which, previously they'd done pretty well with, but I think it was more because Ninjas only had one person on the roam here. And I hope either they play vertical play this time here on billiards, or they play more roamers.
Well, they've not brought the castle this time, so their attention could certainly be focused elsewhere. We've got Psycho jumping onto the Legion. Psycho on 7 kills, so he's doing his best for his team at the moment. The rest of his team on either 1 or 0 kills. So Psycho really coming up clutch at the moment, choosing to go onto the Legion, and hopefully he's going to be able to get some goo mines downstairs, get an idea of where iBlacks is going to be pushing on that Book, and get that early picks. That early pick last time really contributed quite heavily as to where the round ended up going.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. But we're going to move through into round number 4, and we'll see exactly how it's going to go down. As you see, Ninjas in Pyjamas still unable to find a defense round on billiards. Let's see if they can do it this time on their 3rd attempt. But this, as you said, it kind of all just comes down to if iBlacks can just get down there and he can just start doing work on the Book, because every time he's been able to do that, he's been tearing apart the defense, especially the mirror windows. But there's no Maestro this time, and I think this is because they're trying to get more people in the room. And Psycho playing offers is a really powerful position for Elysian to play. And a lot of people don't like Elysian roam, but this can actually work out very well for you.
Yeah, conservative lesion roam can be very powerful, especially if he's in a location where he knows he's going to get pushed and he's able to, you know, he's got a player playing off him as well there with Kamikaze playing down in service. So it's not going to be a bad place for him to be playing, but I think it's actually the Pulse, sorry. So it was Pino that was going to get pushed there into servers. Nice push there coming out from Panico. Kills coming through pretty quickly there, and Hugzord is going to get the kill onto Psycho. So very quickly that's turned into a 4 versus 2. It was looking really good for Nip at one stage, but you can't argue with that push from Black Dragons. They were just able to get really good crossfires, really good pincer movements onto the defenders that are playing downstairs and easily take them apart, all within the first half of the round. So Black Dragons now got a lot of time to play with. They really don't need to rush this. They can take the time, get into some drones, and really figure out how they're going to do this. Gang repel. Hugzord is going to get his head taken off by Julio. Julio making that super aggressive wide peek there, and you can't fault him at this stage. He really needs to be doing something pretty spectacular to get this man advantage back. That's the kill that they need.
Yeah, in a 4v2, you just really need to start taking gunfights, and Julio will find a pretty good one for himself. And that's actually going to be diffuser down outside of Aquarium as well, so that's a really good pink coming out from Julio. He's just going to stand behind the shield. It looks like he's getting ready to throw a Nitro out onto Luggage or on the Aquarium balcony. GDN's drone is going to come through to see what exactly is happening here in this situation. Oh my god, the flashbangs go down, but the ADS catches them both. Nitro goes out, Wag takes down GDN as he moves all the way in. Wag tries to push up, but does get picked up on the flank by Panico. It's all down to Julio in a 1v1. He will pick up Iblex and just retreat all the way through onto Luggage. He does have control of Diffuser. Panico doesn't really have time to retreat around, so a few charges will go down. Desperately trying to find Julio, but he's going to be taking a prone angle, but there we go. Panico finds a much better angle than he does. He takes him down, and Black Dragons take round number 4. Very, very well done here from Panico especially. Look at that.
I feel really, really like, I think that, well, what I'm trying to say is that I think Nip were so close to that round. I think it's so disappointing that they just couldn't quite manage to clutch it out. The way that they adapted and the way that they dropped the castle pick, chose a different operator, and roamed downstairs, it just really seemed to work well for them. We're going to see them go down to Blue Bar now. They can't go back up to Billiards. It was really close last round, but ultimately they've lost 3 rounds there now, and that's quite a lot. But you know, you talked about it earlier about Coastline. It is an attacker-favoured map, so we'll have to see what happens at the halfway point.
Yeah, we definitely will. We're going to move through into round number 5. Black Dragon's looking very, very good right now, and this is looking insanely attacker-sided, but I think Ninjas are defeating themselves at this point. They've just been constantly unable to deal with Iblax down below, and he's been able to tear up the defense, and every single round, defenders have had to move out of positions that they're favorable in, into positions where they're getting caught out in crossfires, and it's happened all the time. And then when we had a more aggressive roam game coming out from Ninjas, they recognized they need to shut down Iblax. They got shut down themselves, they got put into the same crossfires, just on a different level this time, and some good, really good trading coming out from Black Dragons. Ninjas, not so much.
Yeah, you really can't argue with how Black Dragons are playing as a team. We commented on it earlier, the way that they're able to execute these pinches. They're really rooting out the defenders and making it very uncomfortable for them to play. So you just can't argue with that. And sometimes on a map like Coastline, it's very difficult to deal with that in any way as a defender, because there's nowhere really for you to go if you're going to give up a certain amount of control to the attackers, and they're going to be able to take it and then get a good pinch on you. There's not all too much you're going to be able to do, especially with all the utility that the attackers have at their disposal in terms of flash grenades and the operators that we see Black Dragons bringing here, especially Zafir. Zafir clutching the round up last time. It can just make it can really make the difference.
Yeah, it definitely can make the difference indeed. But we are going to see round number 5 getting underway shortly. Spree fires are going to come out both sides, but Nip are going to be holding down fairly well. But again, I still feel like they're going to come under the same issue. And it's going to be all about if they kill this book or not early on. But I can't see Iblax putting himself into a position where he's going to be able to get picked, because he's constantly on the flank watch until he's needed. He's never really making the entry himself.
No, Iblax is playing it perfectly. He's usually got somebody that's droning for him. He usually does a little bit of drone work of his own. But it seems as though Nip aren't really giving them any option to get in and play vertically because of how well they're contesting, Sunrise Bar and upstairs in Hooker Deck. You can see, oh, nice kill there coming out from Psycho onto Ion. Ash going to lose his life within the first half of the round, so not too early on, but he's going to find another onto Hugzord as he peeks around the corner as well. Psycho is getting kills for fun through that back door. The grenade's going to come in from iBlack's. Great grenade, perfectly timed. That's going to take out Psycho and remove him from that power position. Second grenade not going to find anybody, but iBlack's is there to play. He's opened up the whole wall. He's looking directly through a peek hole, and he manages to find the head of Wag. iBlack's is going off at this stage. It is 3 versus 3. No, make that 3 versus 2 as Panico picks up a kill onto Pino. Pino really struggling to get anything going. Panico making that a double and taking out Kamikaze. Once again, we're finding ourselves with Julio as the last defender alive. iBlack's has just been reset. The plant is certainly going to go down now. Julio's got a really tough job here. iBlack's, he's going to make it a triple. He's going to pick up the final kill of the round.
A definitely good round coming out from iBlack's, and just look at the way that his positioning came through there. He's playing the refrag role there. Like, 2 people pushed in through pool entrance and just immediately got shut down by Psycho. But then the nades come out. Then everything starts to come out from iBlack's. He starts to push around, and he gets multiple frags for his time. Doing very, very well indeed. But I still feel like iBlack's put himself in a bit of an aggressive position there. And if the frags hadn't come through from the Zofia as well, that could have been a different story coming out from Nip. I also really liked that angle from Julio, where he opened up the floor just a little bit next to the reinforcement, and he was holding a very tight angle. But it's actually be Julio himself who swaps through onto the alibi. I actually really like that stick pick, even though that mirror is very powerful here. It's not working for Nip because there's just this abusive Buck who's tearing them apart right now and kind of making Mirror a little bit useless.
It is funny as, you know, we speak of the power of Mirror and how important she is as an operator, but iBlack's has done a great job of just really making it quite a non-issue, and he's just shutting it down all the time. So it really does sort of ebb and flow as to, you know, which operators you're actually playing against or which players you're playing against and how they're able to deal with that. And like you say, iBlack's and, you know, Black Dragons in general have just been able to shut down the mirror totally. So Julio has obviously had enough of the 3 armor, and he's now going to go for the 3 speed, see if he can pick up any kills that way. I'm sure that Nip want to pick up another round on defense before they switch on to attack, but they shouldn't be too downbeat because, as we've said, this map can be a little bit attacker favored currently, especially with the lineups that they've got available to them today.
Yeah, they definitely should be able to go so well, but Psycho, so aggressive coming out from him. And that's very typical of the LATAM playstyle, but he is not going to go down for it, but does get very, very lit up already. This is looking interesting so far. This could be the final attack for Black Dragons as we move into round number 6, this action phase. This has been looking very good for them, but I can't help but feel that when ninjas go onto their attack, they're going to do the exact same thing.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen, and it's just down to the way that the map plays out at the moment. It really does seem to favour the attackers just a little bit, despite the fact that we've got the mirror. The difference will be is if Black Dragons are able to effectively deploy that mirror and use it without being sort of compromised in doing so. If they're able to deal with any sort of vertical play, and usually what you do find is that a player like iBlack's that is very good at applying vertical pressure as an attacker can usually be very good at sort of dealing with vertical play as a defender as well and shutting down those vertical plays that the attackers may bring. So it sometimes works into it like that. You can see there he's wasting no time opening some holes in VIP. He's certainly he's sure that somebody's up there, and he's put some good damage there onto Kamikaze.
Yeah, he has been able to do some very big damage indeed. Kamikaze going to be playing around onto circle. This is not looking too good for him so far. He's getting pushed out from TJ, and drones are going to come out as well. Kamikaze still playing very aggressive. It's going to be Julio who picks up the first kill of the round. GDN already out of it. That's the only hard breacher available, which otherwise on Coastline normally wouldn't be a big deal. But on this particular attack, onto Penthouse Theatre, that is almost a disaster coming out from Black Dragons.
It is the only objective on the whole map that really quite relies heavily on a hard breach, and to lose GDN at any point in the round is going to be a real loss of utility. Julio there proving that his you know, jumping on the 3 speed has definitely worked for him as well, just by being able to pick up that kill. It's a really important kill to get. Panico going to get Kamikaze. Kamikaze has wasted a hell of a lot of time there in VIP, and he'll surely be happy with what he's been able to do so far for his team. As we move into the final 45 seconds of the round, Wag is going to be deploying some smoke canisters into Hall of Fame. I mean, the hard breach almost not being an issue, seeing as they've opened up the wall into VIP so heavily, but still got players playing it. Pino outside in VIP hallway, just keeping a trained eye on the Hall of Fame, just making sure that no one's able to come through the door. And I quite like that, by reinforcing the outside of VIP, they're able to get some more control, but Wag's going to get a nice kill. He's going to make that a double as he gets 3 pumps into Panico with the shotgun, but not before he gets a nice flick on the hatch and finds somebody else instead. Hugzord is going to get him because he does know where he is at that stage, playing tight in the showers, but it's going to make it very difficult now for Black Dragons to get the plan down. Julio going to pick up one, Psycho going to pick up another. Much better round there from Ninjas in Pyjamas on defense, and that's going to be their last round on defense. So, you know, a good way to finish it, finishing it out on a win there.
Yeah, Ninjas definitely doing well to bring it back. That is a 4-2 scoreline, and I think that's what most people would expect from a typical Coastline game, a 4-2. But Ninjas, it's all up to them to start taking attack rounds here and proving they can be just as dangerous on the attack as Black Dragons can be. Let's move into round number 7 and see exactly how Ninjas are going to take their attack half. What do you think of this lineup?
I mean, we've seen what the castle does, and I'm really not too keen on it on Hooker. I just don't know that it provides... When you bring in operators like Ash and Zafir, it's just so easy to deal with that castle barricade. I just don't know that it provides all that much value, but I really like the Ninjas in Pyjamas lineup. I think that's going to do them very well. I quite like the Dockerby. I think that's a good introduction.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Yeah, it could be. I can't help but feel that they're bringing the Dockerby as the counter here to the Maestro. And I mentioned this a bunch yesterday, that she's not really a counter against Maestro because, well, not really a direct one, because when you put that logic bomb down, dead people can still get on there, on the camera. It doesn't affect people who are dead. So, you know, maybe if you're expecting everyone to be alive at that point when you're putting Logic Bomb down, then yes, it's good. But, you know, we'll see how it does go down, as we'll see round number 7 getting underway. And we will see deployable shields going down in Aquarium. We'll see pretty typical mirror windows going down as well.
I think there's definitely scope to play this bomb site without the mirror. We saw it not really work all too well for Ninjas in Pyjamas. So it's not that I'm surprised that iBlacks has brought the mirror, but I'd certainly think they could have got away without it and maybe switched it out for a Legion. But having said that, if you're going to play the castle, I would prefer to see the Legion anyway. So there's certainly different options there. I'm sure there's good reason as to why they have brought the mirror, because it does make playing off Hooker into Billiards a little bit more viable. And especially with the introduction of the castle barricade, it is just going to slow them down on that push to Aquarium. The operator that I'm really interested this time is going to be Pino on Book. He's struggled to get anything going on the defense. I think he's still sat on 0 kills. He's done some really good work tonight on Book so far, and I'd like to see how he gets himself in. You can see he's just droning himself in there now. Let's see what destruction he can cause now, because they've been having it done to them all game so far. Ooh, Psycho, they're going to pick up a nice kill off the curtain onto Hugzord, and Kamikaze going to get one onto Iron as well. So straight off the rip, it is looking very good for Nip at this stage.
Yeah, they're doing really well to tear apart the defense right now, but just looking at where the runouts should be coming through from Panico, it seems to be a late response, and it seems just like Black Dragons don't really have any intel on what's going on here. Of course, no Valkyrie because she's banned. This is making it very hard, and there's no pulse as well. I think Panico is getting ready to go for a run out onto the deck or onto the purple curtain, but no one's playing around there at all, and this is kind of just wasted space from Panico right now, as it looks like the book is going to start getting stuff open from below. Logic Bomb is going to get deployed. Black Dragons are going to start getting pushed out here slowly but surely, as utilities starting to slowly get deployed by Ninjas in Pyjamas. Looks like they are going to go for an Aquarium take. If you can see where the book is as well, he is in offices right now, and Panico should be able to shut him down.
Panico there with a single bullet hole, doesn't quite manage to land his shots as Book just manages to hit prone in the nick of time. Impact grenade is going to come out, and that's probably going to distract Pino a little bit, but Panico, he's not in a great position here because he can't play this all too aggressively. He's going to get the wall bang and take some really good damage away, but doesn't quite manage to find the kill shot. Kamikaze is going to take out Panico as he is too distracted on trying to get the kill on the Book. 5 versus 2 now. This is looking really good for Ninjas in Pyjamas. All they've got to do now in these final 45 seconds is try and apply a bit more pressure, and that pressure is coming now in the form of a Logic Bomb call from Dockerby. It's going to make it very difficult on the site. They're going to have to start answering the phones, or Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to have a very good idea of their whereabouts. Psycho going to pick up the kill onto iBlacks. Wag going to finish things off with a kill onto GDN, and that's going to be all she wrote for that round. Ninjas in Pyjamas picking up another attacking round.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good for themselves right now, as we will see. Round number 8 getting underway. Nip finding their first round on attack, and definitely setting the precedent here, because Black Dragons, they did the exact same thing to Ninjas when they were on the attack. So I think we're seeing a little bit of a pattern here now. But it's going to be all about how Ninjas can capitalize on this. That was a very dominant round coming out from them. And I want to say that Black Dragons, again, the same problem that Ninjas had, they didn't really have the intel that they needed to react appropriately to the attack. And you can see that Panico was kind of wasting a lot of time there down in Sunrise. He could have had a little bit of positioning, maybe to try and play a little bit more aggressively, rather than playing passively and waiting for runouts to come down. But I'm still not sure, like, because Panico was doing the right thing, but with the wrong intel.
I think they were just waiting to, like you say, they were trying to get that run out, they were trying to get that big pick that was going to really shift it into their favor, but ultimately it didn't quite play out like that. This game, well, this map, sorry, is all going to be won and lost on who ends up winning more defensive rounds. Obviously, NiP were able to pick up 2. If NiP are able to capitalize on their attack now, and you know they start to turn the tide, they could quite easily run away with this because, as we've seen so far, it has just been so attacker favored up to this point.
Yeah, it's definitely Black Dragons to lose. We'll see exactly how they're going to go about doing that. As we see a Penthouse and Theater defense coming out, this is one of the only defenses where I think that this favors the defenders so much, and I'm so surprised that it's not taken more on Coastline, but I think it's more because players aren't used to having, and particularly teams, when they make their strats, they're not used to having a mirror on Coast, and I think that teams just won't go here because it's such a bad sight when you don't have the mirror, but when you do, it becomes pretty much like a default.
It's strange, isn't it? Teams have got so used to preparing for not having a mirror that when the mirror gets thrown into the mix, it sometimes isn't very impactful at all because the team hasn't really got a clear idea of how they want to play it and incorporate it into anything else that they're trying to do in that bomb site as well. And it's almost like things can either get a little bit too default or get a little bit confusing if they're trying to introduce multiple things. So I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing Black Dragons here just dropping the mirror pick maybe and trying to pick somebody else, like we've said. I mean, I'm not sure who else they would choose in this scenario. They could perhaps take a mute and try and shut down a little bit of the drone work and aid the roamers a little bit.
Well, Julio picked up the alibi, remember, and he did pretty well with that. So, wow. Great shot coming out from Iblax already. And as we talk about Julio, Cassis Curse comes through and Hard Breacher down already. And this is the exact same thing that happened last time, is that the Hard Breacher went down immediately from Black Dragons' attack, and they just fell apart after that because, as we said, this is really only one of the sites, especially when there's a mirror available. Oh my god, Iblax, how does he do it? He just takes him down instantly, Psycho off the board. And that's the top fragger gone from Ninjas and Pyjamas. Now it's a 3v5. Iblax still looking to contest with this Legion T5 SMG, but White picks up one onto Panico. It's not all over yet for Ninjas, but they are starting to look pretty bad.
Yeah, Ninjas are definitely faltering here. That early pick that they suffered from Julio really didn't do them any favours, and just Iblax being allowed to operate like that within the site and the players of NiP are still peeking it is just a little bit strange. I'd like to see the book getting a little bit further, maybe before we start seeing attackers peeking that heavily onto the site, because it was relatively early on, really. I mean, I know we're into the final minute now, but ultimately that first pick came out very, very early, and now you can see some smoke grenades are going to be deployed, and that's going to make things even harder for Ninjas in Pyjamas to make anything work here. Kamikaze is going to be very wary of peeking onto that window, as Iblax has had some success on there earlier, although he is holding a different angle now onto Hall of Fame, and it's going to be Hugzord that's going to be waiting to peek out onto the mirror, but Iblax is going to peek as well. He does manage to put some shots in, but doesn't quite manage to make a kill shot happen, and I think that the plan could start to go down in a couple of seconds, but no, Pino is going to pick up the kill onto Iblax. That's going to open things up a bit. Hugzord getting the nitro kill as that comes out, moving into the final 14 seconds. GDN picks up the shotgun, and he's going to be able to take down the diffuser. That's a big kill at that point. Black Dragons, they're going to come away with that round.
Great defense coming out from Black Dragons, but again, can't help but feel that was going exactly the same way when Black Dragons attacked here. That Hard Breacher goes down really early to a great early peak, and Iblax was just constantly contesting everything there. He did a great job of picking two really important kills coming out. So, but you know, Hard Breacher going down, normally that's not the end of the world on Coastline, but on that particular site, it really is. Unfortunately, we are going to have a rehost here. So it looks like we are going to just wrap up things here, and we're going to be getting back into the game as quickly as possible. Just really weird stuff coming out there from both teams, but Coastline definitely not too comfortable for the attacks from either side here.
It's something that we've seen, and we've talked about it before. We've talked about you know, maps that you know, seem to find their own pattern within the game, and I think that attack is certainly being favoured currently. But I think that something that we've seen there is Penthouse was won on both defensive rounds. Now, I know that we talk about the pick coming out fairly early, which was quite crucial. But the way that Ninjas in Pyjamas were preparing Penthouse, they opened the whole of VIP wall and then reinforced VIP and really held that quite heavily. They were able to delay the butt coming underneath to make VIP uncomfortable and use the vertical play. So, despite the fact that it's a bomb site that we've seen won both times on defense, out of the 3 that we've only seen, you know, the 3 defensive rounds that we've seen be successful, they were set up in such totally different ways. And it almost becomes the point of what's the deal with Penthouse here? Is it just that it's very difficult to attack, or is it just that the defenders are doing a great job and it's a bit of a coincidence that it's won, you know, 2 out of the 3 that we've seen so far of the rounds that have gone to the defenders?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's been a very weird series so far, but a very intense one. Clearly, these 2 teams are very evenly matched, and we did see this before when they did come against each other. I was kind of hoping for something very weird to go down, but we've seen some pretty linear attacks coming through so far. There's been a fairly similar strategy from both teams.
The attacks have been working for them, though. You know, so far we've seen, like I say, we've only seen 3 defensive rounds picked up. And, you know, that's quite big. So we've seen 5 attacking rounds come through, we've seen 8 rounds played. I'm not sure if it is because of the introduction of the mirror and it's seen as such a big distraction at this point that teams are just desperately trying to force it in, because it's not every time that you see the mirror being allowed through the ban phase for Coastline. And I'm not sure if it's just detracting away from other strategies, other things that teams have got prepared, and maybe now they're going in a little bit ad hoc because of how powerful the mirror can be, but it's not really being utilised to its full potential.
Potentially. It's just really weird to see the mirror go through in Coastline and to see it just not be effective at all, really. I want to go back as well and talk about billiards for a bit, because there was that mirror that went down on blue that was soft. And you mentioned it's kind of an interesting mirror to do, but it does allow you to just see into couches, because that's a pretty default plant spot, and you're getting rid of places we can put down. But also, that is one of the only mirrors on that map that can't be picked through vertical play.
Yeah, it is a crucial zone. I guess that my argument for it would be that I'd much prefer to see the Legion played. Just a normal impact hole there, Legions downstairs in Sunrise and in Office to alert you of any sort of you know, book play, any sort of vertical play, maybe an ADS on Cool Vibe stairs that's just going to help you survive down there a little bit longer, avoid any nades or flashes coming through from hooker door. It's different, isn't it? It all depends on personal preference. It depends on how everything else is being set up. There's really no right or wrong answer for anything. Often in Siege, it's all down to how it plays out under those specific circumstances. So yeah, it's a very nice mirror, but I'm not sure how much value it would add compared to like the Legion pick coming through.
It's interesting you mentioned the Legion pick, because it was so essential to stopping shield pushes coming out from Nib. Where's Wag on the shield now?
Wag was doing such a great job on Monty that it seems strange that he's not continued that form. We didn't have a big break between the game between Liquid and this one, so you know, the way that he used the Monty on Clubhouse just to brute force his way into the site, able to push in, cause a real distraction, allow his teammates to, you know, get the kills onto distracted defenders, or I mean most of the time he even shot the defenders himself with his pistol. So he did a great job, and I'm not sure where that push is now coming from. It is on the side of Ninjas now for their attack, so there is potential to see it. We have only seen a couple of rounds of attack. Maybe that's something that's going to come if Ninjas feel like perhaps a kitchen defense is going to come out.
Yeah, potentially. My main concern here as well, something I was looking at, is that there's a lot of drone holes that are coming out from vents above. There's actually 4 of them on Coastline on the roof. So I don't think that either team's really playing around this at all. So there's one drone hole that actually goes down the vent, that goes down onto Cool Vibe stairs. We had someone actually who was playing there during one of the billiards defenses. They didn't have an ADS. We had 4 nades on the board from Nip. That man did not get naded, and I feel like just no one's using those. It's not happening at all.
I understand what you're meaning. It can be sometimes quite difficult to get yourself all the way up there. The problem is what you've got to do is you've got to get the intel that someone's playing in one of the spots that can be naded. That's first step.
Yeah.
Then you've got to deploy the guy that's got the grenades to the roof, which depending on where he is, depending on what he's doing at that point, that can take a little bit of time. He then gets up to the roof, they jump back in the drone, and the drone might not be there anymore. The drone might have got shot that was providing the information, so they're going to have to re-drone it if they don't want to waste the nade, or they're just going to risk it anyway and maybe potentially waste. I get what you're saying. It's quite situational, it's quite specific. I'd like to see it because we haven't seen tons of nade play so far. We've seen a lot of nades be cooked and thrown at the ceilings. It is effective, it does create decent holes, it does do some damage to players if you do get it in the right spot, but it's so much of a risk. If you don't cook it exactly right and it ends up bouncing off something else and just detonating mid-air, you've pretty much wasted that, especially as Buck when you can just shoot the floor open anyway. Yeah,
it can be a big waste, but what I'm talking about here is, so most of the attacks on Billiards have come purely through Aquarium. We haven't seen any variation in that. No one has pushed the balcony. No one has pushed out VIP yet. We haven't really seen anyone open that VIP wall that I was talking about. Everyone's just been concentrating around Billiards and Aquarium. We've seen someone go to Purple Curtain before, but regardless of that, it looks like we are just about to get in, hopefully, back into Coastline in just a few moments. We have seen a 5-3 scoreline be established so far. Looking pretty good for Black Dragons right now as we move into round number 9. This is looking very interesting.
Yeah, it's looking good for Black Dragons. I think the difference is going to be now how they're able to deal with their defensive rounds. With Ninjas in Pyjamas being on attack, it could be the time for those guys to get some good rounds on the board, get some maybe easier rounds on the board than defense on Coastline, and ultimately see if they can come out with a win, because this is a best-of-3 series, so they're going to want to make take every advantage that they can to get this first map on the board for themselves.
Definitely. So we are going to go through into round number 9. This is looking pretty good so far for Black Dragons because they've managed to find 1 round on defense. We said that Nip found 2 rounds on defense. It's all about really who wins more defenses here. Nip have been looking pretty good. I still think there hasn't really been that much variation in strategy from either side, but thank God, we're actually going to see the Twitch coming out for the first time.
Julio there on the Twitch is going to be looking maybe to deal with the mirrors, as he is a very experienced mirror player himself. He's going to be more than aware of all the dodgy little angles that Twitch is going to be able to make away to those mirrors and potentially drop the glass. So I've no doubt that's probably one of the top things on his agenda for this round. But we are going to be getting underway very shortly. Love to see the Legion pick from iBlacks. He's going to be playing upstairs and just making sure that no drones are going to be coming through from hook deck. Not sure if he's going to go for a bit of an aggressive run out here, or if he's just going to be doing a little bit of last-second drone hunting and then getting the goo mine out there to give him a bit of situational, awareness if anyone is going to be pushing on that angle onto hooker deck.
Yeah, definitely. So we are going to go through. It is going to be round number 9. It's looking very even across the board, I would say, because if Black Dragons find 1 more defense, then they've found the same amount of defense rounds that Ninjas in Pyjamas did, but the only defense they found so far is Penthouse Theater, which, as you said, has had a 100% success rate so far on defense. I think that's mainly come down to the pick that's come out on the Havana both times, but yeah, it's now going to be much more difficult for Black Dragons to move onto different sides. It's still very interesting that Julio's actually picked the Twitch here. You think it's for the mirror windows, but I think he's picking it partly for the gun, honestly. There's been a lot of missed gunfights from Ninjas so far.
We've talked about it last game. Twitch's F2, it is one of the best weapons in the game in terms of recoil, in terms of damage and fire rate. It really does shred through every single defender. So yeah, you definitely could be right in that, and maybe it's just a little bit of a bonus that the shock drone is going to be there as well. Psycho going to take a really nice kill there onto iBlacks. Legion out of the picture at about 1 minute and 20 seconds into the round, so there's not going to be all too many goo mines out there. He might have 3 or 4 if he is lucky, but that's going to be quite a large utility loss at this point. Legion, of course, with the impacts as well for any last-minute rotations that he may wish to make. So bit of a big loss there for Black Dragons, and that's going to give Ninjas in Pyjamas a good chance at taking this round.
Look at this as well, because the Buck is rappelling outside. He has a great opportunity to rappel up to the to the top and nade Cool Vibes, because there's a smoke playing Cool Vibes right now. But the GM's going to retreat down there. But there's exactly opportunities like that Ninjas cannot afford to miss.
It's about having the intel in the moment to act upon that. and I think that's the tough bit. But we're going to see a straight trade there. Psycho for Panico, both killing each other out, and GDN is playing on the stairs on Cool Vibes, and you're probably screaming for a grenade to come down, but I don't think that it is going to happen. The Dockerby calls have been raining in, and she's still got one left. Dockerby there, just putting some shots down as she was trying to get a kill maybe onto anyone playing over in blue bar, but it was a bit difficult to see. She's going to chain her calls together here and going to send another one straight away after the first one has finished. Hugsword just narrowly missing out on, I believe it's Ion playing in Kitchen. Ooh, Pino going to get punished there by Ion, so it's going to leave us into a 4 versus 2. This is looking very good for Ninjas in Pyjamas at this stage. GDN going to get a kill onto Wag, traded straight out from Julio. Another kill going to come through from Kamikaze. That's going to be a round on the board for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, and they've been doing very well so far with it. Coastline is looking very much their map on the attack, and I said that I think that NiP are just going to turn around on the attack. They're going to do the exact same thing that Black Dragons were just doing, and this is definitely looking much more into their favor. We're going to go back to Billy's defense here for Black Dragons. They are bringing the castle along with them. You've not been a fan of that castle here?
I don't know, it's just personal preference, isn't it? I'd like the Legion, but the castle didn't work for them last time. Ninjas in Pyjamas managed to win Billiards last time. It was the first round that they attacked. So I think you've got to go through some sort of iteration, some sort of change. I think something that's working really well at the minute is, despite the fact that we called for Wag maybe to be going on the shield, I think the Dockerby calls and the Logic Bomb there came in really clutch at the end, just allowed him to be, well, allowed the whole team to be able to push in and take control of the site.
Yeah, it does. It does. I still think that the Monty would be a decent play from Wag, just as also just how he was playing it on Clubhouse. He was completely tearing Liquid apart because of it. I mean, even towards the end, they still hadn't caught on to what he was doing, where he unshields, he goes for the hit buy, and then he reshields immediately before you can even deal with him. So Monty's putting out damage from a very safe position, and there's not really a lot you can do against him unless you set up a crossfire. That hasn't been happening so far, but the main thing I want to point out here is there's only one Nitro, and there's only 3 smokes coming out from Black Dragons. They don't really have a lot to deal with a Monty if it did come out.
That's got to be something that NiP are conscious of, and it's something that they should surely, you know, be looking at trying to adapt and overcome. Because if they acknowledge that there's only one Nitro coming out, surely they can bring them on to the next round. There's no Legion coming out either, so they're all good things to do with the Monty. If Black Dragons aren't bringing them, bring the Monty and give it a go. But ultimately, they don't really need to change all too much, because they did win this last round on attack when they attacked this site. So all they've got to do is the same again, and I'm sure, you know, they'll get a very similar result.
Yeah, they should be able to do. And again, this same mirror window going down from Iblex, I still really like this mirror window, because it gives you a lot of control. It gives you the same thing you would rotate would give, because you can open it up and make a vault hole as well, because he's put it down right at the very bottom. So there's still big advantage. I can see what you mean about it, but I can't see where else this mirror would even go down, honestly.
That's one of the things about mirrors. Sometimes it's worthwhile to keep one in your back pocket and not use it, because if it gets taken over or gets placed in a location where it's not really adding anything, they can sometimes work heavily against your favour. But yeah, I do like the mirrors they're playing out here, and especially the one into Hooker that's looking all the way through into Billiards, and it'll have a small angle behind the bomb into Aquarium as well. But the push does seem to be coming from Aquarium, as one of the mirror windows is actually going to get opened from below. That's going to be Pino doing some good work on the book, just making sure that the mirror isn't going to be an option for watching any sort of plan that could be looking to go down from the Aquarium area. But GDN is well placed with smoke, just ready to smoke the corner of the wall and deny the default plant spot. But he's going to be getting a little bit of pressure from below from Pino, as Kamikaze comes in now with some lifelines from Zafir and maybe looks to make a bit of a push and pick up their kill. Smoke grenades have got to be imminent now, as he needs. GDM really needs to do something to start slowing this push down. There's still 10 players on the map.
Yeah, he also managed to destroy the Maestro cam that was behind the Billiards table as well. So in a pretty good position for himself, and Black Dragons have started to lose a lot of their utility. They've lost the mirror window, they've lost the Maestro cam. They're just going to have to try and get aggressive off of this to try and stop the push from going down. Ideally, honestly, this is where Monty would be really good for the push. But there we go, Psycho going to pick up a kill regardless of that. Great entry kill coming out from him. That's a mirror off the board, but no, more importantly, that's the Nitro gone already. Smokes are going to come down from GDN. This is not looking too good coming out from Black Dragons. They're using utility already, and the Diffuser is going to go down. But Black Dragons do pick up 2 kills on the way, but it's a 4v3. Diffuser is down. Remember, this is a post-plant situation. Ninjas are just rotating all the way around to try and cover it, but Hugzord, he moves all the way up, he gets Kamikaze. 4v2, the nade is getting prepped. Pino throws it out, that could be a good kill, but no, from below, it's going to be Panico who takes him down. It's all down to Wang to try and deny this diffuser getting destroyed. He's going to push all the way up, he gets one kill, can he find another? No, he can't find it! He's going to push all the way around into the hallway, but he can't find the kill still. He pulls out the MK14, he's desperately trying to find the kill, but he desperately can't find it. He pushes all the way up, but no! Black Dragons will stick it, and they will disable the diffuser. They take round number 10, and they put themselves on match point. Oh my god.
What an unfortunate post-plant position for NiP to find themselves in there. I'm not sure how, but Pino was outside, just ready to throw a nade up into double window, which wouldn't have been a bad idea. But Black Dragons really weren't concerned with the diffuser because there was loads of time. They knew that all they had to do was set themselves up and, you know, not really bunch up and do all the right things in that situation when you're kind of trying to not to panic, I guess. But yeah, Pino was outside and then he vaults in, and it was a really clutch kill from Panico downstairs in Blue Bar, because if Pino was allowed to get in there and start opening up some floor and maybe had another grenade, I'm not sure, it could have been a different story. But you really can't fault the defuse there from Black Dragons.
Yeah, no, I think that Ninjas played the post plant really badly though, because they all split up immediately. Like, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna completely abandon the diffuser like that, then I don't think Zofia should still play Aquarium, because she's gonna get traded and you're still gonna be at a man deficit. So potentially could have played that a little bit better. I like that Pino did go below, but you know, Panico just completely outplayed him. He went below as well. He got that pickup, and after that, I just don't see how they recover the round at all.
This is a big round for Black Dragons at this stage, because we've seen it before. Penthouse and Theatre, this has been won every single time on defense to this point. There's been some nice early picks on hard breaches from both sides. Let's see what they've got in store for us. If Black Dragons win this, it's going to go to our next map, which is of course Border. And then we've got the decider as Clubhouse. So they're really going to want to make a good showing here. And if they can pick up this first map on Coastline, I think it'll stand them in very good stead. It seems as though Hugzord has managed to find a third mirror window to make good use of, as a small little spectator bug there. But Ivax is going to be just making sure that no one comes into Hooker without him knowing about it, as he places some goo mines down on his way, rotating back to the site. Black Dragons need to play this very conservatively, because there has been a couple of rounds going to the attack. This is, historically, throughout this match, been quite a defender-favoured site. All they need to do is not peek anything. If they don't peek anything, they don't overexpose themselves. You know, they need to wait for NiP to start making some mistakes on this push, and then they can capitalise on them, because, you know, NiP are certainly going to be wanting to win this round. They don't want to have to take this to 3 maps. Neither team do, I'm sure. So let's see what they have in store as we hit around about the 2-minute mark on what's been probably one of the more slower rounds yet. But I think that's probably just because of how much is at stake on this particular round.
Yeah, there is a lot at stake here. In particular, Ninjas still pretty much playing the exact same lineup they have been bringing. It's not a bad lineup. I still think that just bringing something different here would really just shake stuff up. But a Penthouse Theatre with a mirror and with playing the Maestro at 90 could be good. But Black Dragons are a very aggressive lineup here so far, just in terms of positioning coming out. I mean, you've got one playing 90, you've got the Jaeger playing in Billiards. You have a very split up, but very aggressive defense so far coming out from Black Dragons.
It's nice to see that they've managed to get the VIP wall open there, like you say. It does just provide that angle in, and I think Ivana is the best placed operator to do that. Pino, I'm not sure if Pino's still been struggling for a kill. We did stuff for a rehost, so I'm not sure if he did get a kill before the rehost, but he's not been having all too great of a game this far. I'm hoping for him to get underneath now, make some holes with Buck, and make things very difficult for the defenders remaining on site. Panico just moving through security and trying to find a kill onto anyone that could be playing downstairs in kitchen. Somebody maybe like Pino who's looking for that vertical play. Panico really making sure he's checking all his corners, not going to be caught out by any drones on this late push. He is going to get drone there, and that is going to force him to just move back onto the sunroom and through into offices. Dockerby Cole's going to come through, and GDN is going to start deploying his toxic bays now into the final 35 seconds, so pretty good time to use him, as the plant is surely imminent as Kamikaze there going to pick up a nice opening kill, which is pretty late in the round to be picking up an opening kill with only 20 or so seconds left on the clock. Another flurry of kills are going to come through there. 2 versus 3 is now going to be the man count. 3 in favour of Nip at this stage, but Black Dragons are going to pick up a kill of their own with Ion taking out Wag. The diffuser does not appear to be in the hands of the attackers, which is going to make things very difficult. Pino is going to pick up a clutch kill there onto GDN. The diffuser is still not in hand. Leisure Mine in the foot. I don't think Pino's got enough time to do anything about this. This is surely going to go the way of BD. No, the defuse is going to stick. It is going down. Ion there is going to be left with it all to do. He picks up the kill onto Pino. He picks up the second kill onto Psycho. 2 headshots back to back. He's going to get the defuse. That's going to be a round for Black Dragons, and that's going to be the first map of Coastline going to Black Dragons. It came down to the wire then in that, and was almost certain that there wasn't enough time for the plant to go down, but it didn't matter anyway because Ion was there to pick up the pieces, pick up the 2K, get the defuse, bring this to, well, first map going to BD. So very well deserved there. Good scoreline as well, 7-4. Black Dragons did all they needed there, and they really picked it up on defense, and they managed to win rounds on defense where Ninjas in Pyjamas just really weren't able to win much on defense.
Yeah, they definitely weren't able to in that penthouse theater right at the end there. They were doing so well with it as well. That's why I don't understand, but Black Dragons will take the first map 1-0. That is their map pick, don't forget. They did choose to come to Coastline, and Ninjas in Pyjamas did choose to go to Border, which will be our second map, which could be coming up in just a few moments. What do we think of Border?
Ninjas in Pyjamas played it as their first map in their series a couple of hours ago now against Liquid, and it wasn't too far away for them. There were some good points in it. It's where we first saw, you know, Wag bringing out the Monty shield tonight, and he did some really good work with it. So I'm hoping that they kind of fall into that pattern and they start bringing the Monty again and use that to push off a little bit, because as we've said with Border, there's some really key rooms that you need to take good control of, and Monty can be very useful in doing that. I'm not sure. I think, well, I know what it is. It's a must-win map for Ninjas in Pyjamas if they want to keep their dream of going to the Invitationals alive. Yeah,
if they've got anything, if they've got any backup strats here, they need to bring them out. And so do Black Dragons as well here. And this is why I kind of want to see a bit more adaptation coming out from both of these teams, because they've both been doing pretty much the same push every round. We've seen some adaptation from Nip. We've seen a little bit of adaptation coming out from Black Dragons, but it's been the same push, the same lineup, pretty much the entire time coming out from both teams, except from that one time that Julio picked Twitch.
Yeah, Julio picked Twitch. We had sort of not conflicting but differing views as to why that maybe was. Obviously the F2 being a great gun, or maybe trying to deal with mirror windows. I think you're right in what you say. I'd like to see a little bit more of a variety in terms of the operators, because I think that there's good operators that are being ignored a little bit. I mean, Blackbeard wasn't banned and we didn't see Blackbeard at all. I know that I think that it was going to be I want to say it was Psycho, perhaps I could be wrong, but playing onto Penthouse double window, getting the kills on the rappel, that's usually a pretty good spot for a Blackbeard to play. You know, with obviously the face shield and you can sort of peek the tight angles and stuff. We didn't see a Blackbeard all Coastline, which for him to be available is a little bit unusual because he can be such a dominant, you know, operator to play off windows. So I think there was definitely more operators left in the pool to be picked from that maybe weren't picked, that could have swayed things a little bit more. I mean, and the Monty as well from Wag. I don't know how you can go from being so successful in a previous series using the Monty to just not bringing it for a single round to even give it a shot. It just seemed a little bit strange, that's all. But I'm sure they've got the reasons for it. We are going to be moving on to Border, which we have seen him play Monty on this evening. We've seen him do very well. So we'll have to see what they can do. Ninjas in Pyjamas don't want to leave anything on the table or in the locker or in the back pocket, wherever you leave your stuff. They don't want to leave it anywhere. They want to bring it all tonight, and they want to throw it down against BD on this map because it's a big one. And like we've said, there's only one more spot now left for Latin America. Team Liquid have already taken the first spot for Latin America. This game is now a very important one for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but equally as important for Black Dragons. If they want to take, you know, if they want to take their spot, the easiest road to do it now is to win Border.
Yeah, that is the easiest route, indeed. And don't forget, Ninjas, this is their map pick, right? They want to come to Border. They didn't unfortunately lose it, but they did pretty well against what was a pretty ferocious defense coming out from Liquid. They did manage to find 3 rounds on the attack. But then Liquid went onto their own attack, and they had that really weird strategy with the Twitch. They also brought out a Clubhouse as well, which, yeah, Nip just couldn't play against that at all. But I don't think Black Dragons are going to bring that out. I'd be very surprised if they bring that out.
I think, you know, Black Dragons have probably had the stream on in the background and watching to see which team was doing well and what was going on. I think that Twitch play from Gohan was just so specific.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like it translates. Like the way that he was keeping them alive, the way that he was being able to use them, I don't think that it's going to be something that Black Dragons are going to be able to play off all too much. But it is something to be aware of how hard NIP were trying to hold sort of bandited walls and stuff like that. It's going to be a time to bring the Thatcher. It's going to be a time to get things open relatively quickly so that you can establish that early control. Because I think that, you know, certainly Julio was really relying on keeping walls bandited, and it played like quite a vital role in a couple of the successful holds that Ninjas in Pyjamas had on border.
Yeah, and we made that big point as well about how Liquid, it was a very specific play, and Gohan played it very, very well around the Twitch, and that's kind of what tore apart the defenses from NIP. But also, it was very much about the fact that they were pushing with it. They were taking sites and they were using their utility to support the Twitch drone going in.
Yeah.
It's not a solo play. It was definitely part of the team strategy. And yeah, I don't think that either of these teams are really prepared for any of that at all.
No, like you say, it really came down to the team play and the synergy that Liquid had or have. That enabled them to be able to play in that kind of a way in such a, you know, and to be so successful on the Twitch. It really wasn't just down to Gohan on that Twitch, but I think we are going to be getting pretty much ready to move into the game now. So we're going to be looking at Border. It's going to be the second map in this series of Black Dragons versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. Let's see what Border has in store for us.
Yeah, and we've already seen it once before. Looks like there might be an issue with the lobby. We might have to remake this. It might be an issue. Yeah, we're gonna have to rehost, it looks like. That's unfortunate. So let's talk about Border a little bit more.
Well, we've got a bit to talk about because we have seen it already this evening.
Yep, that's true.
Let me flick back on the old notes and see what we saw. But Ninjas in Pyjamas really weren't far away from Border. It was 4-7, so they picked up some good rounds.
They only picked up one round on the defense though, which is very important.
That was the problem.
Border is a very 50-50 map, but just, yeah, I really think that the Liquid Twitch drone strategy just completely tore them apart. If it wasn't for that, they would have done much better on the defense, I think.
I think that them only winning one round on defense was maybe less about their defense and more about Liquid's attack.
Yeah.
And it's going to depend on how well Black Dragons are able to attack and put the pressure on Ninjas in Pyjamas, because if they put enough pressure on, then maybe they're going to start to crumble a little bit. But I really think that the attack rounds that were won from Liquid have got to be attested to Liquid. I don't think it was a case that Black Dragon lost all too many of those.
Yeah, well, you know, Border is probably it's not the most balanced map. Like, statistically, Oregon is actually the most balanced map. You can believe that or not. But Border does tend to go very 50-50. In competitive, it's definitely one of the more popular maps. It's a very well-designed map. There's a lot you can do with it. And therefore, in my opinion, if you're going to pull out pocket strats, there's a lot of like new stuff you can pull out on Border. There's a lot of experimental strategy you can really get to know with, because there's so many different ways to hold it. That's why Mirror is so popular a bit, because there's so many different mirror windows you can use. Yeah,
the options that start to open up when a mirror is available for Border are, you know, unending. You can play one. I think the point is that just there's so much soft destruction on Border, and you've really got to choose where you're going to use your reinforcements and where you're going to deploy your utility, or where you're going to deploy your mirrors. So I think that's one of the things that really sort of plays in key, and it'll be interesting to see which of the operators actually make it through the ban phase this time, because we've had a couple of upsets, I guess, in the fact that Mirror has been let through. But we've just been told that one of the players is just struggling to get into the lobby. So we are just going to keep talking about Border for a couple more moments as all the players do get themselves in, and then we can get this second match underway. Looking toward the way that you're expecting sort of Black Dragons to be now, like they're obviously coming in and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. How do you think that's going to translate onto another map, especially with a bit of a break like we're having now?
You want to hear a prediction?
Yeah, I'd love a prediction.
I think it's going to overtime, and I think NIP take this in overtime 8-6.
Okay.
I say that, or maybe 8-7. I say that because Border is so 50-50. I see it constantly go to overtime, just because. I mean, when we saw Liquid versus NIP, right, after the first half, it was 3-3. It was all tied up. Nip did some really weird things on defense, but they had a really good one. And then, sorry, Liquid did some very weird things on defense, but they had some good ones. But Nip had some decent attacks as well coming out. There was particularly great plays coming out from Liquid on the Buck, and I think that tore apart quite a lot what was going on because Nip didn't really have a good roam game. And again on Coastline, they got tore apart by a Buck, and they didn't have a good roam game, and when they did, Black Dragon shut it down. So I feel like it's going to go 3-3, 3-3, and then we're going to go to overtime. It may be a bit of a coin toss. It does very much depend on how teams play it. Black Dragons do stand a really good chance of taking the series here, 2-0, because there's been huge mistakes coming out from Nip, especially, again, in their own game.
And that's something that is going to be weighing on the minds of the players on Nip now. So far, they've only won 1 map tonight, and they've played 3 up to this point. So, you know, they're in it for the long run. They're really, you know, they're really fighting for this spot now, and they've really got to bring it now and show us why they deserve this spot. And it's going to be about forgetting what's happened in the previous 2 maps, try and pluck the things that they did well out of Border the first time against Liquid, try and bring them to play against Black Dragons, try and also figure out if they can. I mean, there's not a great deal of time between the games and stuff, but figure out anything that was going drastically wrong and maybe to look to sort of adapt or improve on that ever so slightly. But I'd really focus on trying to bring the good elements from Border and bring them now against Black Dragons, because like you say, a very important game, because if Black Dragons win this, then they're going to be getting that spot for the Invitationals. Yeah,
the big disadvantage here as well is having played a map that you just played, is that there's going to be info on you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be that very, very recent info into how you play this. I'm hoping Black Dragons are going to be expecting WAG to bring the Monty here.
Maybe that's something that Ninjas in Pyjamas have kind of accounted for, and that's possibly why they're not bringing the Monty, you know, WAG on the Monty, because if Black Dragons are you know, conscious of that, or if they saw the Monty coming out, they might just play Legion every single time and try and make things really difficult for the Monty to be able to operate. I think if we see Ninjas in Pyjamas bringing out the Monty on Border, Black Dragons are going to be quick to adjust to that, and they will bring the Legion, they will bring, you know, the Maestros, anything that they can to try and deal with that, maybe a couple more C4s, you know, try and deal with that a little bit more swiftly than Liquid managed to, because it did attest to some good rounds for Nip earlier on this evening.
Yeah, they definitely did have some really good rounds on their defense, but, sorry, on their attack, but their defense just got torn apart, and, you know, I talk about the roam game a lot, but I also mentioned during that Border game that you don't necessarily have to roam to take that Buck out. You can play vertical play. I mentioned specifically that half wall angle. G2 call it ollie spot specifically, I know. They'll open up a very small angle there on the very back right of half wall. And from there, you can actually see all the way down onto the front door. And then, because what happened is they were playing a clash on the door on Armory. Gohan just ran all the way in and immediately picks him, and I can't help but feel things like that are going to happen again if Nip aren't too careful about it.
The clash play we've seen this evening just hasn't really worked in any, you know, in any of the ways that it's been applied. I think that the best way to play clash on Border, if you were defending Armory, would be to play around front door.
Yep.
And try to deter the Buck from coming in, make him waste a lot of time. Play with another defender as well, so that you've got somebody that you can play off and, you know, peek out and get some kills, or, you know, apply some fire that's going to put the Buck off from pushing. It's going to cause a lot more time to be wasted. It's just not going to allow the Buck to just be able to jump right in, or even an Ash, or even as a Fear, delete the bandit batteries off, you know, cause some destruction behind half wall, make it so that your smoke can't sit behind there, or your Maestro, or whoever it may be. So I think that's a much more effective way of potentially playing the clash. But it does look as though we've got all the players in the lobby, and we are going to be jumping into Border right about now. Jumping straight into the ban phase. Let's see what Border has in store.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much expecting a Gladsban right off the bat, and there we go from Nip. No surprises there at all. Bringing out another Gladsban, I mean, are we surprised?
Not really. We've seen Glads, like we said, it's still 100% ban rate. So, you know, teams just really don't want to go against it.
Probably Ying.
He's just so valuable. Ying again coming out. Which 2 is it going to be out of the 3?
I think that Nip are going to ban out the Echo here.
I think this is going to be Maestro. Ooh. Okay.
And then Black Dragons are going to ban out the Mirror. Although Black Dragons do actually start on the defense here. The colors can sometimes get a little bit confusing, but the lobby has been set up like that. So I'm kind of hoping they don't ban the mirror, but no, they're actually going to ban the Valk. So they banned the Valk last map as well, so this seems to be something they just don't want to play against right now, which is fair enough. But again, you're giving the mirror to one of the best mirror players in your region.
It's just really not caused all too much effect so far, though.
That's true, but as I said, on Coastline, you don't really have, I mean, we mentioned this when we were talking about Billy's defense, is that you don't really have that many options, and also the mirrors were just getting picked instantly, and there we go. We see the Monty coming out from WAG, but we do see Black Dragons preparing for it with the Smoke, the Legion, and Nitros on the board coming out from Hugzord. This might not be a great pick. I really don't know why you would 6-pick onto a Hibana here. Maybe to hide the officer's take?
It does seem like a strange decision to change off. I mean, I wouldn't be sad if they brought both hard breaches. I'll be honest with you, I quite like both hard breaches for border. I think bringing both the Zofia and the Ash, there's maybe a little bit of crossover there. So I think that it's, you know, it'd be interesting to see how they push. Like you say, maybe they're going to try and push the offices side of things, and they're not going to pay so much attention to the main wall, because, you know, Hibana's only going to be really left with an option to open up one angle. And when you've got the Monty, you really want to be trying to open up as much as you can to make full use of Monty being able to push on into site.
Definitely, definitely. So, moving into round number 1 here, we're going to see exactly how it's going to go down. I love the Monty here from Ninjas just because of how effective WAG has been playing Monty recently, and he's just been tearing them apart. It's absurd. But yeah, I don't like the fact that they're still not opening up that half-wall angle. I mean, they've got this one that goes onto the vents window, but the vents door is a little bit more important here, especially if you're dealing with the Book. Dealing with Zofia, it's not that bad because Zofia will just go outside the front door and open up behind, but if Hugzord plays this small office mirror, which it looks like he is going to do so, and yeah, he has got one down, so you really need someone watching that front door area to stop the Book just going all the way in there. And I think Pino's going to get away with the same nade, isn't he?
He's going to be going for it, but I think that there's an ADS down in there. You can just see it there on the left-hand side of the locker, just past the sandwich area. I do think there is an ADS there, which is going to foil his plan if he does try and throw a grenade through there. He's possibly aware of it at that point. Maybe he's just going to wait for a little bit later on in the round, gather a little bit more information. He doesn't tend to commit all too much to going inside the building. He doesn't really need to. You can disrupt half wall and kind of just dip in and out of main door area and, you know, get rid of anything, any utility that you may need. But with no bandit, it is a real shame that Julio switched off the Hibana, because the armory wall could have been opened by now, and that would have been a lot of control that would have been very easy to gain for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, and there you go. Pino just gets all the way in. He's completely uncontested, and he has opened the mirror window in mini office as well. So it's just really looking quite terrible now for Black Dragons. They've lost one of their essential mirror windows. They don't really have any cover coming through here at all, and some great drone work coming out from Nip as well. Hans been able to secure what exactly the setup is like on the site. Hopefully Pino should get away with this pretty nice nade he's been doing so far. He's going to throw out another drone just to make sure what exactly the situation is here, and if this nade is actually going to be effective or not. Well, I like this. Good drone work from Pino here.
This just goes to show how much time you've actually got in the round, because Pino's really not done all too much that's taken... He's not done all too much this round, but everything that he has done has had a real lot of purpose behind it. He's been able to go in, get some control, open up a mirror window, do some really good drone work, make some good calls for WAG. Now, WAG's not going in blind. He's got a really good idea of what he's going to be dealing with when he gets into the site. You can see there that the Maestro camp is going to be causing some problems. That's going to be on Zofia to deal with. Grenade there is going to come out, and that's going to put a little bit of damage down onto Ion. Maybe that was enough to allow WAG to push in, but WAG's actually pushed back out again, and he's just going to be holding through box as the smoke grenades are coming in, trying to bait out all of this utility. It's a decent push from Nip, but they need to do something with it now. There's not a lot of health left on the side of Black Dragons. They need to capitalise on that. Pino now going to be getting his way onto Vents window. All three of the defenders are just lying in wait in the middle of Armory. Kamikaze, Pino both picking up kills. Ion manages to get the kill onto Monty, and Psycho getting onto Panico. Plenty of kills coming thick and fast. Attackers are going to win that round. Ultimately, the trades fell in their favour. Very, very good push from WAG, being able to just disrupt all the members of the defending team in the site, and ultimately just left them with nowhere to go.
Ninja's doing very, very well there indeed to just take quick control of the site, but just great drone work coming out overall from them. They were, I always talk about persistent droning, and if you're constantly on top of it and you know exactly what's going on, then you can just push into the site. You have control. You, as you said, you know, Wag wasn't going in blind there. He knew what to expect from that setup. He knew what was going on there. But this is looking fairly interesting now. We're going to move into round number 2, ventilation room and workshop defense coming out from Black Dragons. Clearly already not favoring that upstairs defense.
It's not a bad thing to switch off straight away. There was nothing really that went terribly wrong for them. There was nothing really that went terribly right for them up in Armory. So they're going to switch things up, and you know, it really is never a bad thing when they see the castle come out, which is something that I do quite like for this ventilation hold. And you can see there, Ion, he did his best. He picked up 3 kills in that first round as the maestro with the Alda, but it wasn't quite enough as Ninjas in Pyjamas did, of course, pick up that first round. So going to be quite a lot of utility being deployed upstairs by Black Dragons. Going to have a nice mirror window in offices, looking onto triple wall and the sort of the east stair, well, the top of east stairs area and offices door. It's all going to be about how well Black Dragons are able to hold this upstairs area.
It is going to be quite heavily about them. We're going to go move into round number 2 and see how it's going to go down. I do like when they hold it, when they hold the upstairs when they have a mirror, right? But they're vents. So it's not like Pino can go into vents and just start opening up mirrors from below, because that's where the site is. So you get a lot more protection for mirrors that are being placed upstairs, and you can make the upstairs defense much harder to break apart, because now you don't really have the option of the book. And that's kind of why I like to see a twitch there.
Not sure about that grenade.
I think he missed it. He hit the arch, and I think he meant to get it straight into offices instead.
I'm not sure what it was going for if it had got in. I mean, I don't think it would have got as far as the Jaeger maybe, but there's obviously a reason behind that. Yeah, it's going to be tricky, and I think that Ninjas in Pyjamas really can't waste any time here, and I think they could do is starting to take more upstairs control a little bit early on, because there are 3 defenders playing upstairs, all with hatches ready to rotate down. This is something that we saw happen in NA quite a lot, and this was where the Ying was brought. Obviously Ying being banned this time, but just Ion there just narrowly missing out on that kill. If he'd held that angle for a second or 2 longer, he would have definitely been able to get that, and it's going to allow Psycho to move in and get the kill onto Panico. So a bit unfortunate circumstance there from Ion. But yeah, it's something that we saw is that the Ying was used really well to zone players out and as a bit of crowd control, and I can't help but think Wag could do a very similar thing with like a Blitz or a Monty push upstairs, just pushing the defenders to the downstairs area, and then, you know, moving on and being able to develop the attack, because currently they're not dealing with the players or the defenders that are playing upstairs all too well. Ion there with a beautiful headshot. What a kill onto Pino over in CCTV, especially with the SMG-11. And he's not done. He's hungry for more. He knows that there's somebody out there on west balcony, and he's not going to be giving it up all too early. 4 versus 4, moving into the final minute of this second round.
Yeah, doing very well indeed for himself. To be round number 2 getting underway, just about a minute left to go on the clock. Ninjas are struggling to find their entry here, but we've still got upstairs control for Black Dragons. I don't think it's going to matter that much, but the big thing here is the smoke. GDN's got a great position, not just down below, but in a constant corner where that push is going to come through. Ion's going to rotate downstairs as well, so now you've got 2 smokes, and you've got Toxic Babes on the site, as well as a Nitro. There's plenty of plant denial here coming out as well from Black Dragons. Oh no, GDN is going to retreat and just get picked up on the flank. That's really bad. Psycho pushes all the way through. He gets the entry kill. Julio finds one of his own, and Ninjas are looking so good to try and close out this round. 50 seconds left to go, and now it's all down to Hugzon. And 1v3, he finds 1, he finds 2. Oh my god, Hugzon! He still has a Nitro Tail, but it's not going to matter because Julio going to push right through that rotate and take him down. Easy as that. There goes Hugzon, and Ninjas find their second round.
Much closer round that time than the first round. Ninjas left that very late. It didn't look like they had much plan on getting the diffuser down. It seemed like they were pretty well focused on getting the kills at that point. And that, for me, that definitely could have gone either way, especially with how big Hugzoid was going on that mirror in those few, final dying seconds. It was definitely a round that Black Dragons could have won. They're going to go back up to Armory now, so they're really struggling to make anything work currently on Border, having lost both of their defensive rounds leading up to this. But it's tricky. I don't really know what they can do, and you can see there Julio 6 picking off the Thermite onto the Habana yet again.
Yeah, yet again, going for that 6th pick. We'll see exactly how that's going to work out for them as we are going to move through into round number 3. Ninja's looking so good, and I think a lot of this is just coming down to gunfights. They're finding straight gunfights here. They're doing really well on their drone work. Black Dragons are just not doing very well with it at all. We've seen some great kills coming out, however, from Ion and Hookzord. Everyone else, however, has not won a single gunfight yet.
Yeah, just really struggling to get things going there. GDN got 2 assists. That'll probably be from some sort of smoke damage or something like that that they've been able to get down. But even the Legion not getting any assists, that's a little bit strange, because usually the goo mines, you're going to be hoping to hit with a few of those. I don't know, a little bit weird. He's obviously not played Legion every single round, but Black Dragon's going to have to get something going here, because they did very well on Coastline, you know, well enough to win the map. So for it to come over onto border now and just to really flop into Nip's favour does seem a little bit strange. We're going to be seeing this Maestro from Hookzord. I know you're not so keen on this one, just because of how easy it can be to deal with.
Oh my god. Pino's trying to go for this pre-fire where it's onto the top of the filing cabinet, which is sometimes where a Maestro will be this late into the round. Already just trying to get up there and put his Maestro cam down. It's a good attempt, and there's no reason not to do it, but yeah, he will not be able to find the kill just yet. Moving into the extra phase of round number 3, we'll see exactly how that's going to work out here indeed. You'll see lots of drones coming out all across the board.
Psycho going to find himself on west balcony. Just, you know, taking his time. He's going to get into his drone, do some drone work. They're going to really want to look to take control of CCTV if they're going to look to start pushing an armory wall, which it looks like that's the way that things could be going. Nip are obviously doing fairly well for themselves at the moment, 2 rounds up, so they've maybe, you know, got a little bit of wiggle room here, and they can afford to try some things that maybe are a little bit risky, but they're doing the right thing. They know that this is a map that they really need to win, and they're going the right way about it. Kamikaze has been holding this angle now for multiple seconds. Pino going to open things up with a nice vertical kill onto Ion, and iBlack's going to take out Psycho as the Dockerby call rings through. It's going to leave iBlack's pretty exposed there in CCTV, although he has got a little bit of assistance from Legion playing over in offices, and GDN playing in fountain area. Julio there going to get a nice peek out onto iBlack's. That's going to remove the mirror from the equation. 4 versus 3 now, moving into the second half of the round. It's all now on the 3 guys that have got no... Oh, sorry, Hugs has actually got some kills, sorry. GDN and Panico have been struggling for kills this far. They're going to need to do something now for their team, because otherwise, Ninjas in Pyjamas are very well placed to take this round.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good indeed. Oh my god, Kamikaze almost picking up the kill. Peek still coming out from Hook, so he desperately wants that kill. He wants that peek coming out. But the opening up from below is going to come from Pino here. He should be able to pick up a kill, but Hookzord is going to get away with a cross from half wall. It's a 3v4. Panico on the roam here. He's put down some Legion mines down to 19. He's actually going to go below to try and deal with his hook. Should be able to actually get him, because I don't think there was any good flank watch drones that we even watched here, but Pino with denied. He is going to come through and just take down Hookzord, and now it's all down to Panico. He's on this roam. He's not been able to do anything just yet. Pino takes down GDN. Desperately finding this kill, but Pino with the triple kill takes down Panico as well. Nip take round number 3. Oh my god, beautiful plays coming out from Pino.
Pino seems to have really woken up this this map. He really struggled to get anything going at all on Coastline, but now he seems to, you know, be able to do no wrong. He's getting nade kills, he's getting kills with the gun, and he's really making Buck work for him now on this attack, which is great to see. Ninjas in Pyjamas have come out very strong showing on board at this far, taking the first 3 rounds, and it does just seem as though Black Dragons can't really get anything to, you know, anything to gel, anything to work at the moment. They're going to go back down to ventilation, and at this point, if you're Black Dragons, which bomb site do you start thinking about going? Because you've got them all open to you. What, do you think about doing something drastically different, or are you just going to try and get your vents one to work?
Definitely. Let's see how it does go through indeed. As we will get into round number 4, Ninjas in Pyjamas finding 3 consecutive rounds here on the attack. They want to bring this to the decider, and they're bringing out their strat that they brought out last time with the Thinker. You weren't a fan of this?
There's a lot. He switched off Ash onto the Thinker, so I don't really understand the process behind that. Anyway, Psycho's been doing fine as he is. There's no real need to bring out the Thinker. It isn't really going to add anything. If anything, I'd like to see Psycho on the Dockerby and Wag on the Monty maybe, and just switch things up that way, because we've got iBlacks on the Legion and we've got the smokes on GDM that are all going to be able to shut down this Thinker push should it come. which I'm sure it will, because there's no point bringing it if you're not going to use the Adrenal Surge. So, I don't know, a little bit strange, but ultimately, with the way that NiP are going at the moment, it seems like they're not really putting a foot wrong in anything that they're doing, so maybe he's just really feeling it, and, you know, they've got a bit of an idea as to how they want to push this, if they're going to push it quite quickly, or not quite quickly, but when the execute does come, I think it could be quite, you know, aggressive. It's going to be Dockerby calls, it's going to be flashes, it's going to be lifelines, and then the attackers are going to have the finger boost at the same time.
Yeah, the finger boost we were talking about this is, you know, the LMG is so good with the Adrenal Surge coming through, but it is a bit of a crux. I mentioned this before, that if the LMG does go down, you don't tend to find much use out of the finger, of course, and then the rest of your attack just falls apart because you're giving up utility to bring the finger in the first place, and if that goes down, you will probably lose the attack. But we'll see how exactly this is going to work out. And Psycho going to rotate all the way out onto the balcony, it looks like, onto the south side. Still holding down east stairs though. NiP have a lot of control here, and this site, you need as much control as the defenders can get, but we're still seeing loads of roamers on the board here. This is still looking pretty good though, I would argue, although I'm surprised at how Hugzord is playing so aggressively here, considering he has one of the nitros on the site itself.
Hugzord's been doing some, you know, good work. He had a really good spree with Maestro a couple of rounds ago. Wasn't quite enough to get the round in the bag, but he's going to be wanting to get some kills here, because I think Black Dragons are in a position now where they feel like they need to get some important frags early doors, just to stem the flow of this push when it does come, because at the minute, there's still 10 people left on the map. We've got a minute and 15 or so left on the clock. You can hear a goo mine there just going off in the distance. That's going to be providing some vital information. But you can see there that Pino's Adrenal Surge has disappeared straight away. But while the Adrenal Surge is live, Psycho is able to get a kill onto Panico. That's going to allow him to drop a hatch. Another kill going to come out now for NiP onto Ion. So that is going to be Mute as well. So that's one of the shotguns that you're removing from that final stage. But GDN is still playing over in Armory Lock as his phone is ringing now, so his location is going to be known. He puts the shots in, he doesn't quite manage to land them. Kamikaze picks the kill in the meantime onto the Legion. GDN's phone is still going off. He's in an impossible location here. He's left with one option. He's got to rotate back down the hatch, but he's desperately trying to waste as much time as he can. Kamikaze's picking up the kill, all down to Hugzord. Hugzord finds his first one onto Pino, but he's got 4 more left to find in 30 seconds. Diffuser is in the hands of Julio, and it could be going down at this point because Hugzord has had to relinquish control of the site, and he's going to have to play for some sort of a retake when it does come. Final 15 seconds now, and the plan has gone down. Hugzord with the pre-fire shots coming out, narrowly misses out on that engagement, vaults over. Can he make these shots land? It looks as though the players on NiP are lining up, but Julio's going to pick up the kill. Another round for NiP on attack, keeping the trend and keeping this flawless run that they are currently on.
Yeah, doing really well for themselves so far. I mean, we've seen Ninjas have pretty dominant attacks so far. Unfortunately, we're going to have Hugzord, who will disconnect from the game. Hopefully he can get back in here before we have to have a rehost. No, but rehost will be called from Black Dragon, so it looks like there will be one. Yeah, there we go. We are going to have a rehost, unfortunately. But, yeah, looking pretty good for Ninjas so far, having taken multiple rounds of the attack flawlessly. And, wow, just complete domination from them.
It's got to be tough as Black Dragons to see that large momentum shift there. We've talked about momentum plenty of times, and you commented that it's a real big thing in Latin America. They do tend to rely quite heavily on it. So to see Black Dragons have such a good showing on Coastline and to come out with the victory on that map, and then to be thrown into Border, and now it just seems like they cannot put a foot right no matter what they do. It's got to be a very difficult position to be in mentally, and now you're gearing yourselves up for the real long haul, and it just seems like Ninjas in Pyjamas are hitting the stride despite the fact that they've already played a best of 3 series before this map.
So the thing I will mention as well is that Psycho on the first map before we had our rehost was dropping 13 kills, and they still lost. Psycho has been one of the better fraggers throughout the series and throughout the last series as well. He was doing really, really well for his team. And putting him on Finker, giving the Finker buff and putting him on the LMG, something that Yuna used to do a lot. I mean, he still does it a lot now in FaZe, but he used to do it a lot back on the day. So, putting your better fraggers on Finker with the Finker buff, LMG, they tend to do very, very well with it. I think Psycho's doing a lot of work with it so far, but the thing that I'm impressed so far from NiP is their constant adaptation. Is that even though they're winning their rounds and they're winning them quite convincingly, they're still changing it up. They're still changing up their attack plans. They're still, you know, not bringing the same operator lineup. They're still pushing from different sides.
I think that's the key, is that they're really keeping things fresh despite the fact that they're consistently winning rounds. It's you know, that some of the guys are picking the same operators and some of the pushes are coming around in the same ways, but Black Dragons just haven't really got a response for how that's going at the moment, and they're not able to, you know, they're not able to react or deal with the ways that Nip are pushing, and it almost seems at the moment like Black Dragons just kind of sat inside, almost waiting for this to happen around them, and as soon as Nip starts sort of coming over the map like a horde, taking the control that they want and they need, and just they can just take whatever they like. You know, we've seen some closer rounds, but ultimately it's been very convincingly in the favour of Nip so far. It'll be interesting what happens at the halfway point when the sides switch. If we're seeing Border just maybe favour attackers today, we've said that it's a very balanced map.
Yep.
But I think at the moment it's more that Nip are winning as opposed to Black Dragons necessarily losing, and I don't think that that's so reflective on which side they're either stats or attackers or defenders. I think Nip are just really, they want to win this now, and they're really not going to leave anything to chance.
So I think that's interesting as well is, so Nip played Liquid just before, and they played Border as well, but the mirror was actually banned there. The mirror is not banned here, so I'm very interested to see what Nip do on their defense, considering that the mirror doesn't seem to have any impact whatsoever so far. I think that's mostly coming down, again, to the book play coming out, and that does make it very, very difficult to be in a good position as mirror. The thing that I did mention is when you have events defense, you have the site downstairs below you. You can play the mirror and you can play it very well. I think those mirrors just weren't using very effectively. They don't even put a lot of investment upstairs, it seems, and they retreat very, very quickly.
Yeah, if you're going to deploy the mirrors upstairs, you're going to need to play that for as long as you possibly can to get the most utility out of it. Otherwise, if you're just going to retreat fairly early on back onto site, you may be better off taking a different operator. And this is something that we've talked about with how often mirror's been banned. It seems as though teams have got used to, and almost better in some cases, of dealing with, you know, defending locations without the mirror in play than when the mirror does actually become available, and it does almost detract from maybe what they were planning, or it's something that they weren't perhaps expecting. So I'm sure that we're going to be getting into the game relatively soon. We do seem to have most of the players in the lobby, so it'll be let's see if Border. Well, let's see if Black Dragons are able to pick up any rounds on Border. A little bit of a mouthful there, we got there in the end, but let's see if they can pick up any rounds. A little bit of a break never does anyone any harm. It can break Ninjas in Pyjamas' stride, or is it going to provide Black Dragons with a couple of rounds? They're going to be going to a slightly different bomb site this time, I think, as we are just ready to jump ourselves back into the game. Let's see what Black Dragons can do this time, and let's see if that break's done them any good.
Alright, so it looks like we are going to get back into this game just now. Everything is good and ready. And there we go. We're going to see Black Dragons defend Bathroom Tellers. Wag in a 6-pick off the fuse, surprisingly, and onto the Dokkaebi again. No 6-picks are going to be coming out from Black Dragons. We haven't really seen them utilize the 6-pick that much. We've seen the Nip 6-pick pretty much every single round so far. And that does definitely give you a little bit of insight into the strategy from teams and what they're thinking about here.
6-pick's something that really doesn't seem to see a lot of play. I mean, we've seen it a couple of times this evening, but I think that teams really underutilise that. I think there's maybe a little bit more to be squeezed out of the old 6-pick. Wag there obviously choosing to switch over from the fuse onto the Twitch, but not before just hanging around on the Dokkaebi for a little bit to see if that's where he fancied playing. But a call's obviously come out from his team that he should choose the Twitch, so you know, why not? It should make opening any mirror windows that could be played in Fountain or offices, could make that process just a little bit easier.
Definitely, definitely. So we're going to move through into round number 5. Ninjas in Pyjamas going flawless so far on these attacks. Black Dragons, a bit of a weird position right now. They're going to attempt Bathroom Tellers. It's the only site we haven't seen them go to yet. I'm really not sure about this, because we said that the mirror has been a little bit underutilized here. I think this is actually a really good site to bring a mirror up above. I don't like putting that mirror soft though. I think you can put it soft maybe if you have a castle on Archive still, but putting a mirror soft on Fountain means that's just going to get Ash charge and they're just going to push through.
Yeah, and with Ash and Zephyr, there's a lot of potential for that to happen. I think the way that Nip have been attacking is they've really not been allowing Black Dragons to operate at any part of the map. They really do seem to take whatever they want to take, and I'm not sure if all this utility deployed upstairs is just going to come to nothing if Ninjas in Pyjamas manage to take over the offices area relatively quickly. You can see there that Pino's already getting himself out onto the rappel to go on the roof, maybe to look at that angle from the skylight, or to throw some grenades down from the window up on the roof. That grenade was thrown with a lot of purpose there. I think he purposely hit the little ridge to see if he could bounce it over to where the Maestro was playing. You can see there it landed perfectly as to where the mirror window is, but Maestro had managed to move out of his position. Is that one going to hit? No, it is unfortunately not for him, but iBlacks is going to lose a large portion of his health to those grenades. So you're almost getting what you want there. You really wanted that on Coastline. You're kind of getting the same thing over on Border.
Yeah, well, my big issue with what was happening there is that Ninjas are nading him out of that spot, out of Canadian, and iBlacks is just rotating out, and there's no one playing triple to cut off his rotate. So I really don't see the point of trying to nade someone out there if he can just run away. But there we go, Panico going to pick up the very first kill of the round. Pino going to go down already. The book off the board, that is a very important pick coming out from Black Dragons.
And Black Dragons seem to be playing this a lot more differently. They've been able to keep hold of offices for quite some time now in the final minute. Usually this is something that Ninjas in Pyjamas would have been able to take by now, and they would have been pushing on toward the site with maybe a few more kills coming out. But so far, it looks as though the break has maybe done Black Dragons a little bit of good. We've got Panico just challenging very softly there onto the top of these stairs, as he doesn't really want to give away his life at this point. 45 seconds left to go, so he's going to want to try and rotate back down onto the site. Wag going to pick up one onto iBlacks, almost going to pick up another one onto Ion. In this, the diffuser has actually gone down, and a smoke kill is going to come out from GDM when Panico picking up another one onto Wag. I'm not sure what this post-plant plan is, because I don't know where the attackers are at this stage. Ion's going to be pushing down these stairs. Kamikaze is outside. The diffuser is being watched ever so slightly by Psycho, but he's not challenging it so heavily. There's about half of the time remaining on the diffuser. The remaining defenders are upstairs, so this post plan is looking pretty good for Nip at this stage, but Psycho's getting pushed fairly heavily. Picks up a great kill, very important kill, onto the bottom of East Stairs, but Panico gets the gunfight against Kamikaze, so Psycho is left with no choice, but he's got to push up now. The diffuse is going down. He's going to have to jump through. He doesn't manage to get the kill. Panico covers his teammate GDN as the diffuse is going down. The diffuse is able to be stuck. Black Dragons are going to pick up a round. Is this the shift that Black Dragons needed?
Definitely. I think the rehost helped them out a little bit, just to, you know, gather their thoughts together, stop the momentum from taking them away. We talk about momentum a little bit. I don't think, maybe North America does as well, but Europe doesn't tend to get affected too much by momentum. Latin America just takes something and just run with it. Someone takes the momentum away, and all of a sudden they just keep fighting round after round after round. They're a very passionate region. I think sometimes that can affect the outcome of the rounds.
Yeah, definitely, like you say, passionate supporters and very passionate about the game and a passion to win. It can all come to a bit of a head as these teams, you know, they obviously really want this. And Black Dragons, they got themselves in such a good position after winning Coastline. It seems like such a shame that they've struggled in the first few rounds, well, the first 4 rounds, should I say, on Border, but they seem to be picking things up now. We're going to be jumping straight back in, and they're going to be going back upstairs to Armory, so this is, of course, somewhere that they have struggled to win as of yet, but it is their last round of defense, and that's going to be a good thing for them, because I don't think that, you know, the defense hasn't been so great. The best that they're going to be able to come out of it is 4 rounds to 2, and that's if they do manage to pick up this round. So let's see how they're able to react. I'm sure that they're going to do a lot better on their attacking rounds on Border.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll see how it does go down. This is kind of looking how Coastline was going. But then we saw Ninjas move on to the attack. They were doing a little bit better there. I mean, eventually they did drop the map, but it was still looking pretty close there for a while. So we'll see how it does go down as round number 6 getting underway now. And we'll see Black Dragons on their final defense. It's going to be an Armory Lockers. This hasn't been great for them so far.
No, it's really not. And we're seeing similar elements of the setup. Hugsor there with the same Maestro Campino again, trying to get that kill through the wall onto anyone that could be playing on top of the lockers. We're seeing a similar setup, but I don't think Ninjas in Pyjamas are wasting all too much time now. For them, at this point, they can surely tell, and they can surely, you know, feel that they're very, very close now to picking up this map. And they're going to want to do everything they can to close out this last round on attack, because attack has been so good for them and so good to them this far. They're really not going to want to waste any opportunity they can to get another round before they have to go on to defense, because, you know, they're not sure how the defense is going to go for them just yet.
Yeah, not just yet at all. We're going to move through into round number 6. Remember, it's the final defense round coming out from Black Dragons, and already they started to lose quite a lot of control. Pino moving through, and drones are starting to come out. Nip's taking a lot of control for it, and I love the Twitch being picked here. I did point it out that I think the Twitch would be a really good counter here, and Wag has picked that up. So we'll see how that does work out for him. But Ion is going to be holding down to CC. I like this more aggressive play, but not when you still have a buck underneath in the supply room. It's going to be Pino who picks up his first kill of the round, but instantly traded out. Iblax with a great heads-up play. Not sure if that was a great rotate for him to do, considering that the main door was open. But he did it anyway, and needed to get the kill, so can't doubt him for that.
I think at that point, when you know that you've got a player like Pino underneath on the book, you've got to do everything that you can. Wag there narrowly missing out on that kill. I don't think he even managed to put any shots in. Psycho's going to pick up the kill onto Iblax as he tries to rotate back up to site. So Iblax is going to pay fairly heavily for getting the kill onto Pino, but it may be a worthwhile sacrifice, although Iblax probably still had a C4 in his pocket. So things are looking pretty good for Ninjas in Pyjamas at this stage as they just try and take control over the ground floor. They're going to spot someone downstairs, and Wag is going to be holding that angle, more than aware of his presence. It's going to be a really tough position, and I hope that Kamikaze can come in there and maybe apply some pressure, and he does. They're getting the kill on Panico. That's Ninjas in Pyjamas teamwork right there. They're playing so well. They're just not really leaving Black Dragons with any option on these defensive rounds. They're just making really good pushes. Smoke grenades are going to start coming out now from GDN as he just tries to stem the flow of the attackers. What a kill there from Hugslord. Straight onto Kamikaze, straight onto the rappel. You really can't argue with that kind of a peak. We're going to see another smoke grenade coming out now, and Hugslord is just going to back off ever so slightly as he is aware that there is somebody else playing outside on the balcony. I'm sure that his Maestro camera has probably been destroyed at this point. The push has now come in from Ninjas in Pyjamas, and the plant will certainly be going down very soon. Julio picking up the kill on Hugslord, all now down to GDN. If he can get that first kill and get the shotgun out, he might be in a good position to take this. He finishes the kill, and he should have gone for Psycho. Psycho getting the kill onto GDN. You can't argue with the play there from Nip, but I really think that that was winnable from GDN then if he just goes for the other man instead of confirming the first kill.
It was so close.
So close.
So close coming out from him, but what a disaster first half for Black Dragons there. They will be down 5-1 to Ninjas in Pyjamas, looking to try and close out this map quickly and move us on to Clubhouse, which will be our decider if Ninjas do take this. But as we said, there's a great opportunity for Black Dragons now to try and bring this back into their favor and potentially take us into a complete reverse sweep coming out from Black Dragons, because they've been doing very, very well on attack so far. They haven't done so well on defense though, and that's definitely shown here on Border. This is Ninjas in Pyjamas' map pick. They're clearly very, very comfortable in this.
Like you say, very comfortable attacking, and you know, usually there's a little bit more preparation you can do for defense as well, because as an attacker you've largely got to play into how the site has been set up by the defenders, and there's not all too much that you can do for that. But as a defender, there's a lot of things that you can do in terms of setup. You can see the scoreboard there is looking a bit sparse on kills, but we have had a couple of rehosts, so that is the reason for that. But nice setup coming out here. I think that there's a lot of reinforcements being deployed. They've got the whole of Triple Wall, and it looks as though NIP are going to look to hold offices along with Archives and Armory as well. So not too much of a bad idea really, because it's going to force a lot of utility out on the side of Black Dragons if they do want to take through offices. They're going to have to use thermite charges, and it's not going to leave them with all too many options when the push does eventually come. They're certainly not going to be able to open up Armory Wall and offices with only a thermite at their disposal.
Definitely going through very well. Round number 7 getting underway, and we'll see exactly how that is going to start to go down. Black Dragons move on to the attack, and they're going to be bringing the Montaigne with them. What do you think of the Monty here? We talked a little bit about Monty from Nip. We haven't really seen it from Black Dragons yet.
I quite like it. I mean, look at what he's able to do here. He's early on in the round, 30 seconds, he's in break room, he's got a drone ahead of him, he's going to be pretty much aware that there's someone playing in CCTV, already forcing this guy in CC to move. Buck's playing underneath, who's going to be able to start opening some hatches. All of a sudden, Wag's been pushed out into Armory. CCTV control has been gained with a Monty. It took 45 seconds, if that. There's a Buck now playing underneath that's going to be able to go forward and operate further and try and get some bandits off the wall, maybe even get the mirror open. I love it, it's a great play.
Yeah, the Monty's a great play here, definitely. And there's no Legion coming out from Ninjas, as you said. So it's going to be hard for Ninjas to really deal with this Black Dragons Monty, but it's kind of about how Panico plays it as well individually as a player, because the Wag, as he's known, when he was playing on Monty, he was abusing it really, really well. And I'm sure Twitch chat wasn't very happy about the way he was playing it, just because it's so hard to deal with, where he unshields and just goes for the hip fire, and then he re-shields again before he can do anything about it. Panico's playing it much more passively though, and he's just sitting here. He's the mountain, you can't get past him, and that wall's going to get opened up easily as that.
I think he even managed to bait out a C4 as well there from Julio on the mirror, so, you know, it's a great play there from the Monty. They managed to open up the wall, they've taken up a heck of a lot of control. Iblax is now going to be left to operate on the book at the bottom of the ventilation window there. He's going to be able to push out anybody that's on half wall. There's still an Evil Eye, which is going to cause a little bit of a problem, and Zofia is probably going to be the one that's going to have to deal with that, as there we go, it just gets destroyed right on cue. Kamikaze getting ready to peek out onto the Monty, but there's not a lot he can do. GDN there ready to get that kill, and he picks it up with relative ease. Smoke grenades are going to start coming out now, and this is when Book really needs to start pressuring the player that's playing the mirror in the small office or in the box, as it's just going to be a bit too free for Smoke to be able to sit there and play. Psycho's going to pick up that kill onto the Book, so Book is not going to be able to do that. Another Toxic Bay has come out. Panico is able to sort of give good pings and give a little bit of harassment and move the defenders around, but he's not able to do all too much more. 2 quick kills coming out there from Nip, and another one coming out for Hugzord. The diffuser has certainly got to start going down now. 2 versus 2 with about 20 seconds left on the time. Monty now just really wants to look to protect this Jackal as the diffuser goes down, but he's going to be left with a very, very tough job here, because Psycho is going to peek him out. He gets some really good shots down onto him, but doesn't able to convert. The diffuser has gone down. Psycho does get the C4 kill. It's all down to the Monty. It's not going to be enough. Those close quarters and being shield hit is going to be enough for Psycho to pick up that kill. Another round moving Nip onto match point.
Great round from Nip, and great ability to just deal with how passively that Monty was playing. I don't know, I would have liked to see the Monty be a little bit more aggressive there. He did a great job initially, getting everything open and baiting out the Nitros, as you said, and just doing really, really well with that. So I would have loved to see them being a little bit more aggressive there, but I don't know. I feel like he could have played that a little bit better towards the end, especially once the plant has gone down. The Monty needs to get more aggressive before he decided to unshield.
Yeah, it was just a case of, you know, Monty found himself in sight, but he didn't really have the support network around him to be able to operate or do anything whilst there. He was able to provide good pings, but because there was multiple defenders, if he'd have unshielded, he would have just got shot straight away. And there was no one on the Black Dragons lineup that was really coming in and pushing up behind him to try and use that shield as a bit of cover, and they didn't really have all too much utility left. They'd have had 4 smokes available with those last 2 operators that were alive, the Monty and the Jackal. I don't know if we did see 4 smokes going out. I'm not sure how much it would have helped them, but it could have done a little bit to help them get the plant down. I mean, the plant went down anyway, but it was just left to Monty. Hindsight, maybe Monty could have planted and then allowed Hugzord on the Jackal to try and fend off the defenders.
Yeah, definitely really well played indeed. We'll see how that's going to work out for them as well, as we're going to go into a customs and supply room defense coming out from Ninjas and Pyjamas in what could be the final round here on Border. That could take us to our decider of Clubhouse, which also, coincidentally, was our second map in Black Dragons, in Nip versus Liquid as well. So.
Yeah, Clubhouse is a map we've seen a couple of times now. Already got a little bit of an idea of how Nip are going to play that. You know, they played it very well against Liquid earlier on, but it wasn't quite enough for them. Liquid did come away with that victory, so I think Nip are very focused now. They're on match point. They're not really going to want to leave anything to chance. It'd be a huge mountain for Black Dragons to climb, to come back now and to, you know, be hitting sort of, well, 6 rounds on the bounce, if you will, to bring it, well, 5 rounds on the bounce to bring it to the OT, and then another couple of rounds to close it out eventually. That's a huge task, and especially with the form that Nip are on currently.
Definitely. So, Ninja's looking pretty good, and I love them doing this setup.
Whoa!
Oh, what? Pino! He just gets a massive wall bang all the way onto Ion. What was that?
I'm not sure. It was just a perfect pre-fire. I'm not sure if he's just firing on a common spot that he knows there, if it's like after the vault in.
Office, yeah.
Yeah, it's after the vault into office, but even still, you know, you play the game, you know where that spot is on the map, but you don't know where it is to shoot it like that and pick the headshot up perfectly. It's incredible game sense.
That was insane. Yeah, but Hugzord is going to pick up one into return. There goes Julio, the mirror already off the board, and Nitro's going down with it as well. This isn't looking too good for Black Dragons because they've already lost the Zofia, and that was really their main way of getting rid of Maestro Cams. And I mean, they have the Sledge and they have the Buck as well. They can put nades out, but how effective really is that?
You've just got to get too close to effectively use Sledge's hammer, and then the grenades are just so hit and miss. You've got to cook them to perfection. But Panico is going to pick up the kill onto Kamikaze, so it's not looking too bad for Black Dragons at the minute. Ninjas in Pyjamas are at a man deficit, which is going to be a tough thing for them to deal with. They've still got very good upstairs control, but it's almost as if Black Dragons aren't really too bothered about that because they've already got the customs wall into Passport open, and they may be looking at getting a plant down sometime soon under the cover of some Dockerby's smokes.
Yeah, definitely. So we are going to go through. It's going to be match point. Still, Psycho runs all the way down Metal Stairs. He picks up Panico for free, and that's the Sledge gone. Smoke's not going to go down, but they just run all the way into the site. Oh my god, no Wag. It's not going to let him happen. As Iblex takes down Psycho. Now it's a 2v3. Nip really had to start to return onto the site to see what they can do here to try and recover the round. Wag drops down into the small office there and pushes all the way around, but his phone is still going off as Peanut will pinch out GDN. Now it's a 2v2. They've managed to even the scoreboard. Ow! Oh, what a shot from Wag. And now it's all down to Iblex in a 1v2. He's got to find these picks. He's got to push, but he can't. Wag takes him down, and it'll be Nip who take round number 8, and they will bring us to our decider of Clubhouse.
Very convincing win there from Nip, managing to close that out in only 8 rounds. Not something that I was expecting to see, I think. Judging from Black Dragon's form on the previous map of Coastline, I was expecting to see them pick up a couple more rounds there, and it's a little bit, you know, not disappointing, but it's a little bit, you know, there's a bit of a question there as to what's gone on, you know, what's actually changed within the short space of that time. Something I want to just touch on before I forget. The hatch that was reinforced in CCTV, I think it may have just worked against them a little bit too much. I know they had a couple of other hatches open at the same time, and it did allow a little bit of rotation when they needed it. But
yeah,
you know, they still won the round, so it doesn't really matter. I guess they're playing for if that CCTV area gets taken over, the main hatch is reinforced. They've still got the other ones that are a little bit more sort of, I don't know what the word maybe is, but a little bit more. You know, less exposed, if you will, to leave open and to leave vulnerable for if the attackers do take the top floor. But a great round for Nip nonetheless, and they certainly replied with good style. And another fitting sort of series as well. 1 map apiece. It's going all the way down to the wire, taking things over onto Clubhouse. Yeah,
lower bracket finals. Remember, the winner will go through into the Invitational. The loser will go home with nothing, unfortunately. There's only 2 spots available. One of them has already been taken out by Liquid. We're going to get into our 3rd map of Clubhouse in just a few moments, hopefully. As, yeah, it's been an interesting series so far. I think there's been plenty of mistakes coming out from both sides, but we've only seen each side win their map. Now we're on a decider. There's no clear sort of precision here from either side. Clearly, neither side wanted to ban this map out. They're both very comfortable going to Clubhouse. So, you know, we'll see how it does go down. We'll see how it does work out.
It's one of those things where Clubhouse is a map. I mean, like we said, we've seen it earlier in this series. It was a map that Liquid played versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's one of those where it can really, you know, go in favour of one or the other. I know that the colours haven't always been all too accurate, so I'm not sure who is actually starting on attack this time. But you know, we've seen it be really heavily attacker favoured yesterday.
Yep.
And then we've seen it be, you know, a little bit mixed or maybe a little bit more defender favoured today.
I think it's all about the bans.
It's all about the bans, and it's all about which way they go. Are we going to see the hard breach ban?
I really hope so. I really want to see a Thermite ban here because Thermite is just so powerful in getting open Church Wall, getting open Jacuzzi Wall, getting open that East Server Wall. And those are all essential walls to get open. If you don't have those controlled,
it's so difficult.
It's so difficult.
Yeah. And if you're the team that's starting out on the defense, and the way that I think the way that Ninjas in Pyjamas just won that last round, they really showed what's possible if you're able to win a lot of rounds in that first phase, whether you are on defense or attack. And I don't know if it's going to take a really bold play like that to say, right, if we're starting out on the defense, we're going to ban the hard breach, but we're going to win every defensive round, and we're going to try our absolute best to do that because it's going to allow us the flexibility later on.
Talking about operator bans, though, interestingly, we've seen the same operator bans from both teams on the last 2 maps of the series. We've seen the Glaz and the Echo come out from Nip, and we've seen the Ying and the Valk come out from Black Dragons. Those bans make sense on Clubhouse as well. So I feel like the bans are just going to go the same way, and then whoever's on the defense is probably going to take a decent amount of rounds. But this is Clubhouse, and it's one of those unique maps where bans are becoming more and more important on that map because it can shift very heavily on one side or the other.
Do you think the Valk ban's doing all that much?
I think it's stopping early aggression coming out from Nip, which is I think is what Blood Dragons worry about, because in my mind, I believe that Nip have the better gun skill. They've definitely been consistently winning gunfights a little bit better, and Psycho's just been putting huge amounts of frags on the board, even when his team are losing. So he's been definitely doing a lot of work here. So I think they have a better gun skill, and I think if you're going against a team that can play aggressively like that and rely on their gun skill, you don't ideally want to play against a Valk on them. Maybe also they don't want to bring the IQ, and that's why, you know, they're not too worried because the Echo's getting banned out. Yeah,
I think it really is a tricky one because, like you say, the mirror's been coming through, which is something that's a little bit unusual. Seeing the Valkyrie ban, it does stop that early aggression. It stops the potential for runouts. I mean, we've seen how Book was able to operate outside of border, for example, on that ventilation side, near the just behind the bus.
Yep.
That's somewhere that a Valkyrie cam would usually be thrown out on that side of the map, somewhere probably out of Vent's window, a little bit of a jump out onto the tower. That can be an area that would really shut, you know, a Valkyrie camera in that area would really shut down the Book from being able to play that so freely. So yeah, it's definitely doing some good, you know, it's sculpting the way that the game is going, but I'm not sure if we would see maybe a different ban. We've seen Maestro be very effective up till now, so I'm not sure if maybe we'd get a Maestro ban out there or not.
Yeah, so it does look like Black Dragons are going to start on the attack. If they take the same bans, I think they're going to lose.
Yeah, it's they need to do something different. But then again, starting out on the attack, I don't know, I'd like to see Nip ban the hard breach. I think that's what we're really getting at here, is if Nip are bold enough to ban the hard breacher, it's going to give Black Dragons a really tough job.
Yeah, it definitely is. We are going to get in here. It is going to be Nip who go onto the defense here on Clubhouse. We get right into the series. Look at that beautiful intro.
I really like this map. It's especially after the rework, it's just changed it. It's just changed it entirely. It's a much better place.
Yeah, you might want to go there on your holiday one day, maybe.
Over to the clubhouse. Go and have a drink in the bar.
Have a drink in the bar.
Maverick ban.
Given the theme of the map, you might want to not hang out with the residents there. But we are going to go through into Clubhouse. It's going to be getting into the operator bans here, and we're actually going to see something very different. It's going to be the Maverick ban coming out from Nip.
We did see the Maverick ban earlier on, didn't we?
Yeah, they banned Maverick on Clubhouse when they played in their series against Liquid. That didn't quite work out for them, but the same ban's coming through from Black Dragons. Oh no, sorry, they banned out the Ying in the previous 2 maps, but the same ban is going to be coming out across pretty much every single map we've had. Not just today, but yesterday as well. Glaz is not going to make an appearance.
Nobody wants to go against the Glaz. That's just the fact of the matter. The Maestro ban, they're going to come out, and it's going to be down on Nip as to whether they remove the mirror or not. I'm not sure if they will, but I really hope the Echo gets through, because I think the Echo is more viable than the mirror at this point. The mirror's not really influenced all too much, in my opinion.
It's interesting because a lot of people would say that Mirror is not really that influential on Clubhouse as she is on other maps. I would agree with that to a certain extent, but I think there's certain setups you can do here that do benefit that a lot more. The one thing I'm concerned about here as well is that Black Dragons didn't ban out the Valkyrie this time. They banned out the Maestro. So do they think that Valk's not going to be too potent here? Because they don't seem like a team that really want to even bring the IQ here, and that might be their detriment if the Valkyrie is on the board. Not having to do with the Maestro, though, is definitely going to give them a lot more control.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think the Valk brings all too much to Clubhouse. I think that's probably why she's been allowed in. But I'm not sure about the switch off Jaeger onto Pulse there. I know that Pulse is an important operator for this bomb site. There's a lot of information gathering that Psycho is going to be able to do. And of course, he has got a C4. but the grenades from Buck, the flashbangs, I'm not sure that the Jaeger... I just feel like Jaeger's maybe more of a staple pick, especially for in those last few seconds. It's just lucky that Black Dragons haven't opted to bring the Ying, I guess.
Yeah, that is a little bit lucky. I think that Black Dragons just don't want to play the Ying. Maybe Nip will when they move on to their attack. We've not really seen that much from them though, in terms of like using the Ying.
5 seconds remaining.
We did talk a little bit about Ying before and how she can be very, very effective in sort of pushing defenders out. You can play very aggressive like Rise did yesterday. I don't know, what do you think about the ban so far? How is that going to affect the defense?
Well, the Maverick ban is going to make it a little bit... I don't know, Maverick's got a lot of value, but I think one of his main values on Clubhouse is like partially opening hatches and being able to throw utility down the hatch, which then can make it more difficult to perhaps impact trick that said hatch. So I'm not sure if, you know, how much that really plays in. It just seems like such a very specific circumstance. His use mainly is going to be in keeping hold of CCTV and cache, but I mean that's a wall that we've seen open pretty much every time, regardless of whether Maverick's banned or not, just because of the other, you know, other attackers that you're able to bring in the form of maybe 2 hard breachers or a Thatcher as well. So the Maverick ban really doesn't do anything for me. The glass ban's pretty, you know, the glass ban's pretty standard. It's something that we've not seen at all. Like you say, throughout any of the play days that we've had so far. Jackal just making sure that he's, you know, he's operating upstairs, trying to find some footprints, but Ninja and Pyjamas really aren't giving anything up here, playing all down on site, which is probably the best place for them to be because there's still a lot of time being spent from Black Dragons to set up this, you know, set up the map control that they want to get and figure out where they're going to make this push from.
Yeah, definitely. We're just about halfway in the round now, and I really can't see where the control is actually coming through for Black Dragons because they don't really seem to have any right now. That's not a bad thing, but I will say that the time is starting to tick down. They don't have kitchen hatch open. I don't think any impact trees actually come down yet. The main other concern for me is that there's no one in kitchen. The Book isn't in kitchen right now, and he's not really getting anything open. That impact tree is just going to happen easy as that, and there we go. Kamikaze is going to do it. There's just nothing being contested right now from Black Dragons, and they need to start doing that as we move into the final minute.
Without having much control at all of the map in general, Nip are just able to really slow down any sort of push that Black Dragons are trying to execute here. And it's the right thing to do because they don't need to expose themselves. This is going to end up, if the hatch gets open, it might end up in a, you know, a bit of a hatch drop in the final few seconds and a bit of a bloodbath. But at the moment, it looks more likely there's going to be a bit of pressure on main stairs. I think that's an exothermic charge on the hatch, which is going to get impact tricked yet again. So it really is going to come down to stairs and maybe a bit of a moto hatch. It looks like that's what Black Dragons are setting up for now at main stairs. But ultimately, they left themselves too short of time. There's 22 seconds left on the clock. They've really not got a lot of time to start thinking about getting kills, getting control of one of the bomb sites, and getting a diffuser down. It's just not something that is really realistic at this point. The push is going to come out, however. Wag's going to be very well placed. Look at that double kill with the SMG. Doesn't quite manage to pick up the shotgun kill, but Psycho is there to get one of his own. 2 versus 4. Another couple of kills coming out, and it is a 1 versus 3. Julio picking up that final kill. Great defensive round from Nip. They just didn't need to peek anything. They played it perfectly. Black Dragons weren't able to get anything open, and ultimately, that was the demise. They ran out of time.
Completely shut down by Nip, and yeah, you are right. They just didn't peek at anything. They played very, very safe. I think Black Dragons were just moving way too slowly throughout the map, considering there was no roam game coming out from Nip. They had no reason to move as slowly as they did. I can't help but feel that the drone economy from Black Dragons hasn't been that efficient, because they've done this before on their attacks where they're not moving that quickly, but on Coastline it's not that big of a deal. On Boyer it is, and on Clubhouse it really is.
There's a lot to be said for the drone work on Clubhouse, and I think you're right in what you're saying is that they're maybe not spreading the drones out well enough, because there's times where you see defenders picking up like 1 and 2 drones on the site. It's important to get a site count, but once you've established that upstairs is clearing, they even had a Jackal to do that with as well. Bugsord on the Jackal again this round. Once no footprints are found upstairs and you manage to get a couple of footprints of anyone that maybe has reinforced a hatch, you can pretty much safely assume that as long as you've got a bit of an eye on Oil Pit, that no one's going to be able to rotate up, because you're likely going to be playing an attacker on blue or near secret spot, and you're likely going to be playing an attacker on main stairs. So I don't know why they took so much time in taking the side control that they did. But then again, you can't take anything away from NiP because they just didn't need to peek anything, so they didn't. Moving now on to CCTV and Cash. This is looking pretty good for Ninjas in Pyjamas so far. Julio's going to be placing the mirror on the outside wall.
I love this mirror.
I know you're a big fan of this one, aren't you?
I'm a big fan of this mirror. I will say it's a bit more effective when there is a Maverick. Let me just bring through this mirror. So he's putting it there, so they have great intel. And if someone tries to actually open it up, like open up that wall on East, they could just pop this mirror and you can just throw nitros through it. So Psycho can actually really effectively bandit trick here for one, and even if they lose control of the bandit and the wall, they can play off of it. It doesn't even matter if a buck goes below at this point and opens up the mirror, because they can still toss nitros through it. The point of the mirror is not to get the info and play off of it, it's to get the intel to start with and then just completely deny the wall. So you're losing a mirror, but you're keeping control of the wall because they cannot get that open if you play it smart, because you can also now impact trick it as well. So I really, really love that mirror. If NiP play around it in the way I think they're going to, it's going to be insanely effective.
And it's one of the things that we commented on yesterday. We were seeing that east wall be opened within sort of 50 seconds. I think that's the record time that we've got so far. But like you say, the mirror on that wall, it's really just going to slow down that push initially. Jacko just dropping through into logistics as Ion just trying to find a little pre-fire through the wall from Jim into bedroom, but nothing really doing for him there. Psycho is placed on the east wall, sorry, with his bandit charges ready to be redeployed if they are so needed. I hope there's an ADS over near the window. I'm sure there is on the west that goes out onto the balcony, because his only real worry at the moment is being naded from that spot by the book, maybe.
Yeah, that is definitely a very concern, and being naded from below would be a pretty big disaster as well. And the big thing I'm concerned about from Ninjas here is they're not actually contesting anything here. Like, they're not downstairs at all, and there's just drones coming out downstairs at all, and the Black Dragons have noticed the setup, and they've just completely shifted out, not even bothering that east wall at all. They know they're not going to get that open. They're going to push through west instead, and this is so bad because Black Dragons don't really have any preps for this because they didn't reinforce the construction wall. They put a soft mirror down instead.
I think NiP are just really playing this quite slowly yet again. Ion going to pick up the vertical kill onto Julio. 3 quick kills coming out for Black Dragons. That's exactly what they needed at this point. Wag looking for his second. He's already picked up one. He picks up the next one as well onto Ion. An absolute beast with the SMG 11. 3 versus 2 now in favour of Black Dragons. 30 seconds or so left on the clock. Pino there just holding a pretty tight angle through the bomb site, but the C4 doesn't manage to connect. Pino picking up his first one from Garage Catwalk, and that's going to be the diffuser down. Wag with the second. Very low health now on Hugslord, all down to Wag. And Pino barrel stuffed with the shotgun for the last kill. Wag is going to take down Hugslord. Another round for Ninjas in Pyjamas, picking up their second round of Clubhouse.
So, you're thinking, you're Wag. Imagine. Close your eyes and imagine, chat. You are Wag right now. It's not looking good. It's 2v4. You know they have downstairs control. The Book has just killed one of your teammates. They're taking construction control. They've got the construction wall open. What do? Do you sit on the site? Do you play, yeah, I'm Smoke, I need to deny the push? No. No, no. You rotate downstairs, you refrag the bandit who just died, you kill 2 people with the SMG-11 at long range, well, medium range. Then you go up, you kill another person with SMG-11, and then you play close on construction push with a shotgun, and you take out the 4K. This man is a god.
200 QI plays.
I don't even think it was like a smart thing to do. I think the smart thing to do was to play close to the site and just play smokes and push off of those. But yeah, I guess he just has a huge amount of confidence in his ability to frag out on smoke, and it will work out for him. You see this a lot from Latin America. Them playing smoke really aggressively, and even roaming with smoke on Oregon.
Something that we've seen a lot of this evening is quite a popularity of the SMG-11 and the SMG-12.
Yeah, and it's been working out for them.
It really is working out for a lot of players on all the teams that we've watched this evening. And it's something that it really allows you to be very flexible as a defender if that's something that you're very good at, because smoke and mute's ability, they're not, I'm not saying that they're interchangeable, but if you're able to play with either set of the weapons, you're really leaving yourself open with a lot of options.
Definitely, definitely. So, moving into round number 3, we're going to see Ninjas in Pyjamas defend Cash Room. And they're bringing the castle. This is something they didn't do when they defended Cash against Liquid?
We didn't see a lot of Castle when we saw Jim played previously this evening, and it was something that we were really sort of asking for because, like you say, the castles on the windows that face out toward the balcony from gym and bedroom, those are areas that could be really easy for an attacker to get a you know, quite a cheap kill out of, really, without really exposing themselves all too much.
Well, this is what I'm saying as well. So when you don't play the castle there, people will normally play like a bandaged shield and an ADS with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Except the fact there's everything wrong with that, where you can repel on the gym window and you can get a sight line above that, and even then, you don't even have to do that. You don't even have to repel. You can just hold the long angle, you can Thatcher from Jacuzzi, and then you can just destroy it easily enough. But Julio, already throwing out a Nitro, is already going to pick up the Ash for free. He's actually going to be playing the double mirror here in Bathroom, interestingly enough. I actually kind of like this.
It just allows that second layer of defense, doesn't it, I think?
My main issue with this is that he set it up immediately and he hasn't waited until like control has been found. I also don't like the fact that they didn't open the hatch in Gym, because that's going to allow, if they do get control of Gym, you can just jump in, you can go all the way to the side rather than have to run around to where all the kill holes are.
I think Black Dragons are really faltering at the moment because they've not really got a response for the bandit batteries that are on the wall. Unless Ion goes up with a grenade, I think the ADS has already been burnt. We've seen GDN burn the ADS. But Buck's not really in a position where he can deal with the bandit batteries, and it just looks as though Black Dragons are playing for picks at the moment. And Ninjas in Pyjamas really just aren't giving them anything. They've no reason to. Ooh, having said that, Psycho, they're getting maybe a little bit too aggressive out onto Hugslord, but both players do miss their shots and live to fight another day. I think it's maybe time for someone to get out onto CCTV and try and use that longer window to peek out onto Hugslord there, because he's just being allowed to cause a little bit of a nuisance on that balcony. Nade going to be coming in from Ions. Not sure if it is going to connect with anybody. I don't think it is, but it'll have taken out the static camera at the least if it was still up. Ions' location is going to be pretty well known by this point, and the smoke grenades are going to start coming in. That's going to stem the attack, but he's going to push all the way through that, which is pretty bold. He really needs to be getting those bandit batteries off, because even though there's, well, I guess there's only 20 seconds left now, so there's probably not a lot of value in getting those off. Psycho going to pick up the kill onto GDN. Panico trading it back out onto Bino. 2 more quick kills, 3 more quick kills coming out from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Black Dragons just didn't get anything open. They just didn't really have much of a foothold or anything in that round.
You know, a big issue there is that Black Dragons didn't have any intel onto the site and what the setup was, because they were trying to get Jacuzzi open, but it was banditted, they didn't have Thatchers. They were like, okay, we need to rotate somewhere else then. Then they tried to push through somewhere else, and then they sent Ion in on a solo mission, which would have been great if they knew that all of Bathroom was reinforced. Because since they didn't know that, Ion went straight up those stairs, he naded the side, and I think that he was nading it to stop anyone pushing him from logistics. So he pushes up the stairs, he's crouch choking all the way through, now he has control, but 20 seconds left to go. It's not like he can destroy the bandits now and, you know, let them open up Jacuzzi, that would take way too long. His only play is to make his way into Bathroom, but oh no, it's all reinforced. There's nothing that he can do now, he's completely pushed out of the site, and not only that, Julio knows he's there because he's got the mirror windows open. So, the fact that Black Dragons push like that, and it's just a disaster. It's just so bad for them because they had no intel on the site and they just didn't know where they wanted to push it. I'm not sure who the IGL is at the moment with Black Dragons, because they tend to change their roles quite a lot, but I don't think they're doing a good job right now of alternating the push, of looking at the site and telling his team how they need to be pushing it, because they seem to be all over the place right now on these attacks.
I think it largely comes down to operator selection, and if they'd have had a Twitch or if they'd have had a Thatcher, they would have been a little bit easier and more well equipped to deal with opening that Jacuzzi wall a little bit quicker. They did have the frags on Buck, which I'm not sure why they didn't deploy those through the drone hole to just try and get a bandit off, or maybe even push bandit out from being comfortable enough. Opening up the gym wall, the gym window as well with the castle on it, that had provided a bit of a longer line of sight. So there were options there, but they just didn't seem to take them. And I'm not sure if it's a case that they're really, you know, faltering now. And they've now lost 6 rounds in a row, which, you know, is quite a lot of rounds to lose straight on the bounce.
Rather than the bearing.
Some people like the pistol. Some people really like that pistol.
Some people
Well, you know, the bearing can be a little bit tricky.
It can be, and I will admit that it can be tricky, but that's like someone saying at a pro level, I don't want to play Burke because the gun is a little tricky. That's not really the point, right? The bearing is great because it can destroy barricades much quicker than her main gun can, and also it's just great for those close quarters engagements where you're not really in a great position with the ACOG. And I really think you just shouldn't be bringing the pistol here. That just doesn't make any sense. It's disappointing. I like this strategy though coming out, that they're thatchering down into dirt, that they know where the dirt tunnel goes. You really don't see that a lot coming down on that specific push.
No, that's really interesting to see. He's trying to destroy any goo mines that may be in the tunnel that are going to alert the push. I mean, the Legion's going to be alerted anyway because if goo mines get destroyed, they won't be showing up on its head-up display. But I mean, still, it does just show that level of you know, thought there to figure out where the tunnel actually goes, and it might allow him to push a little bit more effectively. Panko going to deploy his second set of X-Kairos, trying to destroy the mirror, and Panko's going to lose his, oh sorry, Psycho's going to lose his life there, just trying to get rid of those as Pino picks the kill before that. But I think that mirror is probably going to get opened at some point. It seems as though the Yings are coming in now as well as the smoke grenades do come down to block off the tunnel. Panko picking up another kill onto Wag as another Ying comes through, but there's no one playing in this tunnel, so it is a slight waste. If there was maybe a little bit more drone work and a bit more intel, which Hugzord is going to go for now, he would know that.
Yeah, candles do come out, but it does mean they do have dirt control now. Black Dragons have got a little bit more intel going through onto the site where people are, but oh no, Iblack should know Kamikaze's there. He's going to go down, but instantly gets traded out by Hugzord, and Hugzord picks up another on the Nitro, goes out from Julio. It's a little bit too late though. He's going to be trying to play around. The diffuser is going to start to go down. Candles go out. Julio pushes all the way up, but no, he just gets caught out instantly. Panico takes him down. Julio goes through. Blood Dragons take round number 4 on their very first attack round.
That's a really big round for Black Dragons at this point. I think if they'd have left it any longer, it would seem like a really steep mountain to climb. But one round, you know, to pick up one round out of 4, it's not looking too bad for them at this point. They can still do fairly well out of this first phase. If they're able to chain another couple together, you know, who knows, we could see them going 3 apiece on this opening half of Clubhouse. But I don't think that that's in NiP's plan. Currently, they're going to take us back down to Arsenal Room, and they're going to give that another go. They weren't all too far away from that. I just think that the push that Black Dragons did seemed to be a lot more intel based, and I think the Ying helped them a lot as well in trying to gain a little bit of control over the tunnel.
Defenders,
yeah, we will see how the rest of it does go through though as we get into round number 5 now. We'll see Ninjas in Pyjamas go back down to the basement for an Arsenal defense. I'm really surprised that they reinforced all the church wall this time, because this is not a regular thing for NiP to do when they set up this mirror, because they really love this mirror. It's interesting that they've reinforced church wall this time. Although they've been a big fan recently of their double mirrors, and I'm wondering if he's going to double mirror onto church wall, or if he's going to put one on church wall and put one on in blue, which is, you know, arguably a more typical mirror coming out.
Yeah, there was a mirror played looking into like the bottom of oil pit and down blue corridor last time, which I think it was Panico that we really struggled to deal with that one.
Definitely. So we are going to see Black Eyes on the board here from Pino. Still got 2 in his pocket to see how that's going to go through for him. There is a bit of an aggressive roamer strategy coming out here from NiP, which is interesting. I'm not really sure what their plan is here with that, because he's still got a castle in his back pocket, and there's still loads of utility for Ninjas, but where is the setup going down here? They seem to be all over the place, but it's not going to matter, because Psycho just runs all the way up. He gets the first pick of the round. Iblack's already dead. That's the Thatcher off the board. How does that happen?
It seems like a great loss of utility at that point. I wasn't too sure what Psycho was actually going for there, because it just seemed like he was kind of running around garage. There was, you know, still some castles to maybe be put down.
Going for the kill.
You know, he was obviously going for the kill, but, you know, does he really know that he's going to get it? I don't think so. It's just an unfortunate one for Iblack that he's going to lose that gunfight and get picked off so easily. And it's not going to make the push any easier for Black Dragons moving into this, because as we've seen, Thatcher can prove vital in terms of removing goo mines. But, you know, not having any bandits or anything like that, Black Dragons still should be able to get open what they want to get open, saving any sort of impact tricks that may come out on hatches.
Yeah, definitely. But we're going to see a 4v5 situation now. Black Dragon's not looking too good here. And again, moving really, really slowly. They're still droning upstairs when there's no roam game coming out anymore. There was one pick on the roam from a castle who immediately went back down to the site. So a bit questionable from Black Dragons. And again, like, look at the timer. 1 minute 20, they have nothing, no control.
I mean, they've even been bringing Jackals and still been struggling with this sort of time management element of things. And you can see there, 2 drones getting deleted straight away. Heck of a lot of utility to lose. And Psycho, they're playing these mirrors almost for each other at this stage. It's going to make it a really tough job for Panico to get rid of that. I think he's going to give up on that endeavour. GDN are going to be opening up the tunnel again. And maybe looking to call the Ying over to perhaps push down there. But it does seem like the push is fairly undecided at this point from Black Dragons as to where it's actually going to come from.
Yeah, they're kind of all over the place right now. They're trying to open up what they can. They've already expended a Habana charge trying to get the mirror window open, so that's going to go down. It has to be a church push really at this point. And nades are going to come through onto the bottom of the main door there. Castles are going to get opened up, and they're going to try and push through where they can. Kamikaze going to be playing very, very aggressively up here, playing very close to the door. 20 seconds left to go on the clock. Black Dragons have to start pushing. They have to start moving in, but just no drone work. What is happening? Black Dragons just falling to people that they're just not even aware that exist. Loads of kills go down, and it leaves Hugzod alone, but Julio smacks him out of there, and Nip take round number 5. This is really bad for Black Dragons on this attack. They're struggling really hard. Like, there's no reason for Kamikaze to play there. Okay, that's fine. That's really aggressive for him, and he should get picked. But that's the important thing. He should get picked there. And if he's not getting picked, it means you don't know he's there. So why are you pushing down bottom of main stairs if you have no intel?
I mean, we could see that the way that Black Dragons use the drones is they tend to kind of flood them in at the same time, and we've seen multiple times where 2 and 3 drones get, you know, destroyed within a matter of seconds of each other, and they're almost trying to gather information on the same thing. That's not to take away from the fact that how good Nip are at actually dealing with drones and hunting them out. They're doing a fantastic job of just denying all that information, and especially when you're downstairs in in Arsenal, because if you can get rid of a couple of drones and you're not roaming on the site, you're not roaming on the map, they're really not going to have much of an idea of where you are. They're going to pre-fire common spots, they're going to be expecting things, but to play right up against main door, like Kamikaze did at the bottom of main stairs, it's just not somewhere that you're going to be expecting someone to be. The goo mines there is his perfect cue. You literally can't ask for a better cue than a goo mine, because the Buck's now going to be distracted, pulling the thing out of his leg, and all of a sudden get picked straight away. It's really good play from Nip, and they're really just taking a lot of initiative at this stage.
Drone economy is something that European teams probably do the best out of any region, and I think Space Station said that when they went to DreamHack, that they were very impressed from the drone economy, even from the lower tier teams in the EU. So we'll go into round number 6. This could be the final attack coming out from Black Dragons. It's really been looking very, very bad for them, but if anything they can take away from this, even if they do lose this round, they are going into a winning side. But has it been the fact that this is a better side to be on, it is defender-sided? Or is it more that Ninja's been playing so well off of it?
Ninjas have been playing very well. They went through and stormed through attack rounds on border, winning 5 out of 6. And then they won both the defensive rounds on border as well. So I think at this point, Nip are just in a position where they're doing a great job. They're really working very well as a team, and they're not out here to lose this. Having said that, Black Dragons are going to open things up with an opening kill onto Wag. So no more mute shotgun or SFG-11 players coming out. Julio just missing the head of a player out on the balcony outside of the west window of Cash. And a little bit of an early exchange there. Not all too much hit points lost on the team of Black Dragons. The wall will now be open. So it's looking pretty good at this stage for Black Dragons to gain a little bit more control, make the players that are left on site feel uncomfortable. One of Julio's mirrors there is also going to get opened as Ion picks up another kill onto Kamikaze as the garage is opened up ever so slightly. Valk has got a C4 in hand. Why is she not tossing the C4 at this stage? She's going to put shots in and miss both, but she is going to pick up the kill onto Iblax as he peeks over. C4 toss going to come out from Julio, not going to hit its mark. Hugzord there, yinging into the site. Psycho does eventually pick up a C4 kill, but not before Panko takes out Julio, and Psycho getting another one onto Panico. So 2 versus 1. It's all down to Psycho to deny this plant or get 2 kills and get the defuse off, because the plant is going to go down. I'm not sure if the attackers are aware of where Psycho is playing currently, but Buck is holding a very tight angle, but Peek is advantage there. Psycho is able to pick up that kill onto Hugslord, narrowly missing out on the kill onto Ions. Ions gets the Psycho gets the kill onto Ions, and that is it. The defuse is going to go down. What a clutch from the Valkyrie.
I think Psycho is potentially a very good player. I don't want to back up his ego too much. He's potentially okay. But yeah, really well played from Psycho, and throughout the series and through his match against Liquid as well, he's been just fragging out of his mind. He's been doing insanely well no matter what role he's been on. This may have been why the Valk ban was coming through.
I mean, Valk's gun isn't really all that.
It's very accurate.
It is very accurate.
Headshot's a one-shot kill no matter what you're on. So yeah, but I agree. The Valk isn't a great ideal fragger, but you can frag out, and Psycho's been doing just that. Blood Dragons are going to move onto the defense, however, not bringing the Valk out for themselves. However, they will pick up the Legion. Ah, that's a great bait. Wow. Yeah, Wag 6 picked on from the Monty onto the Thatcher. Legion is going to get picked out here, so no Valkyrie coming out because they spotted the Monty.
I think that it's a good little debate there because it's forced Panico onto the Legion, but Thatcher's going to be able to deal with any Legions that he may need to. You know, it's just a great idea to sort of Thatcher the floor before you start walking into the bomb site the last couple of seconds, especially if you're looking to maybe plant the diffuser. Ninjas in Pyjamas very well placed to take this, and with this being our decided map, they're only a couple of rounds away now from the Invitational. It's got to be feeling a little bit of pressure on their shoulders at this time.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, the Invitational, that's the grand prize here. Of course, you don't win, that's it. You don't get anything.
Changing map.
Nothing. Not even a penny.
It's
all gone for you. But this is, even if Black Dragons fall here, it was such a great attempt for them to try and take this down. But as I said, the last time that these teams went against each other, they did actually play Clubhouse, but it was much, much closer than this. And I think Black Dragons were doing much better, but Ninjas were also making a lot of mistakes that they're not making now. Although we haven't seen their attack yet, maybe I'm a little bit too early to call that, but this is looking so good for Ninjas based off their drone economy and all. I think at 5-1 at halftime, most teams will probably call this at this point. They'll say, this is looking very, very dire. Finding 4 rounds in a row, this is not going to be too well. Ninjas only have to find 2 to bring it in.
It's the same scoreline that we left Border with at this point. We left it at 5-1 on the switch of the side, and Nip picks up the next 2 rounds. Nip played this map earlier against Liquid, and they did win on an Arsenal attack. They did lose a couple of times as well, but Liquid were playing very well. So Nip have obviously got an Arsenal attack that you know, will work, and it's just all about how they execute this. I think as players now, you've really got to be focusing on closing this out, because the last thing that you want to do is, you know, start losing rounds and, you know, let the game get away from you, if you will. They're going to really want to focus on picking up these next couple of rounds there so that they can close this game out. But it's a little bit of a slower push. They've managed to open up a couple of the hatches, and there's just some drone work going on. But you can see there's 3 drones out at the moment, and that's not something that we really saw all too much from Black Dragons, especially not 3 drones that aren't getting shot at. So Nip are obviously just gathering their information to be able to make this final execute as Kamikaze makes his way down onto the main stairs. And again, you can just see the drone work that's going out. You're flicking onto every member of Nip at the moment, and all of them are in the drone. They've all got a little bit of information, and they all know what is going to be going on within this final minute.
Yeah, and this is already looking pretty good for Nip, because they have a lot of control. Although they are moving in a similar place to what Black Dragons were doing, they are taking a lot more control for it. But I don't like Pino being in this position right now. He does have nades on the table. He could move through and potentially nade out, but I think there is actually an ADS on blue, because there normally is. I don't see why you would be playing blue without one. Legions are going to go through into blue as well. Pino slowly going to move through. Iblox still holding down onto just behind the boiler here in utility room. He's going to be holding it down. He goes to the pre-fire. Does he get the kill though? Oh my god, he's so low in HP, and there we go. He does get picked up, but the Nitro comes out. He's going to refrag onto Wag, and now it's a 4v4. But so many members of Nip are so far down. Kamikaze does pick up a kill onto Panico though. This is not looking good for Nip all of a sudden. But oh my god, Hogzod is going to pick out Kamikaze. He takes him down. Psycho finds one onto Ion, and now it's a 2v3. Nip are really low all across the board. GDN with a shotgun. Oh my god, brilliant headshot coming out from GDN on the shotgun on Psycho. Black Dragons will find their first round on defense with some insanely impressive frags coming out all across the board. they lost so much control there. But again, I feel like Latin American teams are doing this a lot today, and maybe overall in their region, where they're setting up their execute, they start to go for it, but that execute doesn't consist of putting down smokes, or droning out, or yinging out, or flashbanging, or anything like that, and trying to go for the plant. That execute consists of, if we kill them, they can't deny the plant.
It does seem as though part of their plan is to like get through the doorway or get into the location that they're after, whether that's the site or an adjacent room, without being shot, and then kind of deal with the problem from there on in.
Yeah.
Like you said, we saw the Ash running in at the last moment there from Blue, and Smoke picking up the
for example,
freeze.
A good example of that is that Buck was in Blue for ages there, and he knows someone's playing behind Boiler, and they must know that because 2 people decided to peek him at the same time, which is great strategy coming out from Nip. But what they could have done is he had 2 nades. He could have thrown one in to check to see if there's any ADS. There could have been a nade from the other side for a flashbang to check if there's an ADS. There could be a nade from above to check if there's an ADS. You see the pattern here? Check if there's an ADS, then throw the nade through, and he either has to sit there and die to the nade, or he has to move out of cover and get picked by either one of you. Regardless of that, they almost lost a very critical member to that push, and this is just risk that Nip have been taking across the board, relying on their gun skill alone to push out, rather than use the utility that your operators have effectively. And this is just something that's going so wrong for Latin American teams today. Liquid actually did quite well to use their utility, and a good point from that was how Gohan played around with Twitch drone, and his team played around it quite well.
Going to see Wag moving in onto the Monty, which is something that we've been asking for quite a number of rounds by this point, I think. And let's see what sort of control he's able to gain over Garage. Obviously, pushing up with the Monty can be quite effective there. There's going to be a little bit of stuff in his way, maybe some Legion goo mines, and certainly the barbed wire at the bottom of the stairs. So Garage is going to be a little bit difficult. Is Pino going to be able to get through any ADS that might be down from Hugzord? The C4 comes out from Ion and just removes him as a factor. Bandit batteries are going to be able to go down, and it's going to make it very difficult for Julio to be able to get the wall open. He's still got 2 charges, so he's still got a couple of chances, but they're going to have to deal with this Bandit in some way. I think some assistance now needs to be given to Wag in terms of gaining control over Garage, so that the Garage control can then push on, move the Bandit off the east wall, because ultimately not a lot's going on at the moment for Nip. They've not gained any ground whatsoever.
No, they haven't, and they're starting to do work, but not opening this east wall up. But no, they are now going to be able to do that. Nade comes in from below. Sorry, Nash charge comes in from below. They're going to be able to get this open easy as that. Just get open, but that's a little bit late coming out from them. It shouldn't matter too much because they do have a Monty Seal on the board, and they should be able to push up. But it is 5v4.
You don't. The thing is, the advantage is getting it open as soon as possible. I don't foresee Monty doing very well in this scenario because there's 2 players that are playing up on the catwalk. Both of them are trained onto the Monty. It's going to be very difficult for someone to come in behind the Monty and get a kill at this point, but I think we're going to see somebody try it. 2 remote gas canisters left, 2 toxic bays left. Ooh, nearly. GDD nearly fell then, but Psycho does pick up the kill onto Hugslord. iBlacks does pick up the kill as a trade onto Psycho, and there is a player. Oh, GDD getting the knife kill onto the Monty. What is going on here? Why is the Monty able to push up there alone and not be able to do anything about the 2 players still playing on Garage Catwalk? GDN's going to pick up another one onto Kamikaze. That's an insane angle. He's got no business getting that kill at all. Julio, last man standing, 30 seconds left, finds one onto Ion. He knows that there's 2 guys left playing in Garage, but there's another one playing at the top of Cash Stairs, so it's going to make it very difficult for Julio to be able to push in and get anything happening here. Panko there, coming out with the peak, taking out Julio. Another round for Black Dragons.
These are just such weird plays coming out from both teams. And again, there's just no use of the utility coming out at all. Wag pushes all the way up. 2 smokes come out from Black Dragons, so they're using all of their plant denial to try and kill Wag there. Wag now knows, well, now he's just going to die, so he has to push up and he has to try and get the kill at least. I mean, yeah, he tried to and he just got knifed for it. But while all that's going on, Habana is still sat outside the garage door, not really adding in anything, and then she goes for the repeak, and I guess GDN's just a god, because yeah, he just takes him down easy as that. We'll see round number 9 getting underway. We'll see how that's going to go through as we see a gym bedroom defense with a castle. I don't like the fact that... actually, no. I was going to say he didn't stick to the castle, but it's kind of, they have to go gym bedroom, right? So it shouldn't be an issue.
Pino, though, 6-picked from the book onto the sledge, which is quite a nice addition. That's going to enable any castle barricades to be dealt with fairly swiftly. Because, of course, we did see Ninjas in Pyjamas have a very successful defense of gym and bedroom back over in round 3. They did a great job of keeping Black Dragons out. Black Dragons are ultimately left just out of time and out of luck with no real plan. I think the wall should be able to be opened relatively quickly here. I love the fact that they're bringing a Thatcher on Nip. It's just going to make their job a heck of a lot easier. The Thatcher and the Sledge there, for me, are really two really good adaptations that are going to make their job a lot easier in terms of taking control of this site.
Attackers recovered the
Definitely. That's a nice far cam coming up from Panico. It's going to give him a lot of view onto what's going on Jacuzzi. If he's put it down, I think he did put it down where I thought he put it down. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see exactly what they're going to do with that information. If there's something that Black Dragons have been doing very wrong on their attacks, which they've been making up for on their defenses, is not playing patiently and not relying on info. Obviously, info is a little bit easier on defense depending on your operator picks. And of course, they have got the Valkyrie, so that's definitely good for them. And there's been no IQ from either team, which I'm not that upset about, because if you're only picking an IQ just to counter the Valkyrie, not that great, because you don't need the IQ. You can spot out those Valkyries normally. This is... why is there a peak coming out there? That's a really weird peak to come out.
That's just wasting a lot of time, though. It's really distracting Psycho from whatever job he's meant to be doing, because he's just got to hold that angle onto dirt. He's terrified of looking away. I quite like that from Black Dragons. Whoever's gone down and made that is certainly doing a good job of wasting some time. Hugsord there going to be playing a nice mirror from bathroom onto the main wall. And iBlack's just going to be sitting tight on the stairs. I don't think there's actually going to be anyone down on that peak, although Panico is going down there now. So is he going to be able to get a peek from this pre-opened angle? I'm not sure if Ash is still going to be holding it or not. It was a good couple of seconds ago that was happening. There's going to be no one there right at this moment, but I don't know. Should she hold this for a couple of seconds and see if she can get lucky?
My only issue with this is that all ninjas had to do to make this angle completely useless is just put a drone down here into dirt and just hide it somewhere. And now Panico can't peek this out at all, because he'll just get domed as soon as he tries to do anything, because they're going to know he's peeking it out. But and even if they don't and he shoots the drone, well, now he knows. Now they know that he's down there somewhere because he just shot the drone, and now he's probably not going to go for the flank. But so I don't really like that, but I do like what Psycho just did. He will be opening up that mirror window, and essentially all of the roam game from Black Dragons has been completely pointless because they just let Psycho do that.
Yeah, the mirror's now gone down, which is going to make holding the bathroom a heck of a lot harder. And mirror's probably not going to last all too much time in there. The wall is open as well, so Thatchers can start coming in to remove any utility that could cause a problem. Wag is going to be able to do whatever he wants here, really. There's multiple things that Wag could do. He's going to be able to block off at least the footholds and hopefully help Julio to be able to plant the bomb, because we are coming into the final 25 seconds of the round, so the plan is going to have to start going down at some point. It's still got 10 members alive on the map as well. C4 toss comes out from Panico, but it doesn't manage to hit. Ion's going to open things up with a kill onto the Monty. That could be pretty big at this point. Julio getting one. Couple of kills getting traded back and forth there. 3 versus 3 is what we are left with. Julio is going to be able to get this plant down as Panico is peeking the top of main stairs. Pino picking up the kill onto GDN. The plant will surely be going down now. Kamikaze picking up the kill. All now down to Ion in a 1 versus 3 situation. He's not going to have a lot that he's able to do there, and Julio is going to pick up that final kill, closing out the round for Nip, taking them onto match point.
Match and series point at that as well. Just one round away from Nip to secure their ticket to the Invitational. But Black Dragons aren't out of it just yet. They have found 2 rounds of their own on defense. So this could go either way, honestly. This could go very much into the favor of Black Dragons to bring this into OT. It's going to be a bit of an uphill battle, though. They're going to have to bring 3 rounds in. But, you know, don't forget, Ninjas on their defense, they found 5 rounds. So this is definitely very doable from Black Dragons, but it's going to have to be played a little bit more passively from them. They've definitely been doing a good job on defense so far. I'm definitely not knocking them for that. Ninjas were very organized on that particular attack, and I think the Black Dragons were all over the place with their roam game, where they weren't really playing off intel. They were playing off places where they thought would be good to play. But that peek in dirt is not a bad peek to do, but the reason I was confused about it is he opens that up, he makes it insanely obvious he's about to do it, where he's playing off of his jacuzzi cam, but by the time he's doing it, jacuzzi's already been opened up and they're already in, so he's not doing anything there, and by the time that he's rotating out or he's taking that angle again, Psycho has already moved up, he's taking the mirror window off, so now everything that Valkyrie did there was completely pointless. And then he throws a Nitro off based on late info and doesn't get the kill. So I just really didn't like what was happening there from Black Dragons. And again from them, it's typical because they just didn't have the intel or they weren't playing off of it when they did.
I think that the peak did just kind of detract a little bit from maybe what they were trying to do, and it caused a bit of a distraction for the defenders that they kind of inflicted on themselves. But again, you can't take anything away from Nip in the way that they played the round. They did a really good job of managing the time. They did a good job of taking control of what they needed to, and they got the bomb down, and they were able to hold the post plan. So it's not something that you can really take away from Nip. Black Dragons have been looking pretty good on defense, though. They've won 2 out of the 3 rounds that they've been defending so far. Back in round 7, they did win on this defense as well in Arsenal. But this is now match point. Nip are not going to want to leave anything to chance. They're going to want to try and close this out as soon as possible. What are they going to be able to do with this Monty? Because Wag, we've seen him do great work all night on the Monty, and then the last couple of rounds, he's just not really been able to get anything going with it.
Definitely. So we're going to see match point getting underway here. Ninjas in Pyjamas looking pretty good for themselves. I still feel like playing Wag on the Monty is a little bit of a crux for them. Like, it's like a comfort pick here for Wag because he'd be doing so well on it. But maybe sometimes it just doesn't even really add in anything. But we saw him just abuse Liquid with how he's done it. He's not been able to do similar things for Black Dragons, but there's still that potential for him to do that, and at the same time he's acting as that armored drone. I feel like he's playing a lot more of an aggressive Monty than how Black Dragons were playing their Monty on Panico.
It can be important to use the Monty quite aggressively to push it into the site, because it can enable you to gain a lot of control, and I think that may be what they're going to try and do now on blue. But these goo mines are going to cause quite a big nuisance for them if they do try and do that. Psycho, you can see there, just putting some pre-fire shots down, just letting the defenders know downstairs that that's where they're going to be dropping from. And it's going to be a very heavy blue push. Pino there just narrowly missing out on being able to get that mirror window open. He's honestly a millimetre away. He's going to fire some X-Kairos through, and they will do the job instead. I don't think they actually managed to get through the hole. Maybe they got self-detonated or something on the way through.
I think they hit the boiler itself, and he couldn't get it through.
He's having a real tough time finding that pixel.
I think he got it.
Next time, just a few more millimetres down, and it may be a little bit easier, but it all looks like tricky angle work to me. Psycho still playing the top of the hatch, just waiting very patiently. I think that's something that Ninjas in Pyjamas done very well all night, but a double C4 kill going to come out from GDN. That's going to be huge. Kamikaze picking up a kill onto Ion. Another kill coming out from Wag with the Monty that he's been doing oh so well on. 2 versus 3 is our man count in favour of Black Dragons at the moment. Monty and Kamikaze both very, very lit. The plant is going down. 20 seconds left on the clock. I'm sure the plant will go down without much of an issue. But the shotgun kill is going to come out from GDN. All going to be down to Monty to try and hold this post plant. It's not something he's going to be able to do. GDN going to pick up another. I think that makes it 4 for him that round. Black Dragons winning on Arsenal yet again.
That Nitro from GDN, not only was it perfectly placed, and based off of intel, more importantly, it was really bad because of Nip. They left that default cam up, and that is like so simple. I guess it's just shoot it, you know, just shoot it. But that didn't happen. That default cam lasted the entire round, and then it allowed GDN to go for his own flank as well. This is some really sloppy work coming out from Ninjas, I'm not going to lie.
We've seen it before where teams really struggle to convert once they get to where they need to be. They get themselves to match point, they do the hard work, and they struggle to get themselves over the line. We saw it last night with SSG a couple of times.
Well, Lycan also mentioned it in his interview, is that he did not have, well, they don't really have a good time with trying to close out matches. It went to a very similar scoreline to what's happening now, where it was like 6-5, and then eventually they were able to close out the match. I'm hoping that Ninjas don't cause it to be such a close scoreline, they can close it out now. Their attacks have not been that impressive though. I think Black Dragons is playing a little bit better off of intel this time though. But obviously, we always talk about attack and defense. Most times and most maps are defender-sided. I don't think it's not the fact that the map itself is poorly designed, but that the game does recognize the defenders is a little bit easier to play, just in terms of like you get the whole map for free, and you can do whatever you want with it. And a lot of the steps can go through. It could be very, very smart. Black Dragons have been playing off that quite well, and they've had a lot of intel, but Ninjas kind of defeat themselves in that last round. And a lot of it came down to that default cam that was that was a big mistake.
I like the addition of Ying this time on Wag. Sticks picking off the Monty. That could really help them to push into Garage, because Garage was something that Wag really struggled to take last time that Nip attacked on this location. There was a couple of guys playing up from Black Dragons on Catwalk, and they caused themselves a real nuisance to Wag. He really wasn't able to get anything going, and it really didn't help his old team push either, because Garage control is quite important when you want to start trying to get this wall open, remove the bandits. The multiple things that can happen through Garage, and as a Monty, it's a good place to try and take. The Monty didn't work for him. I do like the addition of the Ying in this scenario, because I think it'll aid him a little bit in getting the control of what he wants, because the shield just really isn't working out as well as it was versus Liquid for him.
Definitely. And there we go. Thermite is going to start to open stuff up. A really big hacking hole coming right up for him. As we do 2 minutes left to go on the clock. This is good work coming out from Ninjas. Already getting that wall open when there's no Maverick and there's a bandit on the board is great plays coming out from Ninjas, because as I said, average time to get that east wall up is about 1 minute 40. If you're doing it before that, that's really good work.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of option, and it just really removes the site from anywhere that the defenders can play, and it just forces the defenders to either pick a side, and then there's a long rotation if they do want to try and get to the other side of the bomb site, because the middle just sort of becomes a bit of a no man's land, I guess, that cache area, that CCTV area, sorry, with Cache and Garage being the areas either side of it. But some kills are going to have to start coming out pretty quickly if Nip are going to make a successful push here. They're of course going to want to look to get the diffuser planted and pick up a couple of kills along the way. You can see there some good shots coming in from a player underneath from Nip, just desperately trying to get the kill onto the mirror. Panico getting a little bit aggressive there, just seeing if anyone's outside on the east balcony, but there isn't anybody playing that currently. He can feed that information back to his team, and his teammates will be able to respond appropriately, maybe just making a bit of a rotate through, but it looks as though we've got a player on the Nip side that are going to be going up and getting on the rappel. The smoke grenades are going to come through to kind of block that line of sight and to deny a little bit of access there. Moving into the final 40 seconds. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, let's see what they can do indeed. Still 10 men up. And let's see how that goes through. But as I say it, Psycho finds the first kill of the round. Finally, Panico goes down. That's the Legion down off the board finally, and that is going to mean that there's no impacts left remaining on the board from Black Dragons. This is not looking good for them at all. Still see iBlack's just trying to play on the top of East. He does have an ADS in, does have barbed wire further down, but he peeks and Psycho takes him down. Pino takes down one, but GDN is going to refrag back. Now it's a 2v4. The Nitro will miss. It's all down to GDN and Ion to try and bring it in, but Ion goes down. It's all down to GDN in a 1v4. He can't find it. Pino takes him down. Ninjas in Pyjamas will be going to Montreal next month for the Grand Invitational for Rainbow Six. Woo! That was intense.
Nip did a really good job of closing that out then. I think that they went out with a good amount of style there, and it's certainly a very well-deserved victory.
Certainly a very well-deserved victory coming out from Ninjas. A very, very close series, and a little bit like how SSG ended as well.
Yeah, they got themselves to a point where they whatever they were doing, that just wouldn't get them over the line. They were trying to, kind of brute force push all through one hatch, all through one doorway.